mirror shine. We're digging up gold from another time. Tuesday night's bright, roll up the tea. Legends of that tip, no one to see. From pans in the creek, the stories untold. And everybody's flashbacks more than gold. We've had wild rides and deep down talks. Miners, dreamers, and treasure walks. Now we rewind, hit play again. Let the archives roll where it all began. Flash in your pan, it's a flashback jam. Turn it down round just because we can. Old gold moments, new hearts revive. Welcome back to Tuesday Night Live. Jokes and journey has hopes and cheers. They dedicate that for so many more. So lighting it up like never before. From open lights, stories that shine. To relive the spark one frame at a time. It's history made, the pen and the plan. Archive flashback straight from the land. Flash in your pan, it's a flashback jam. Digging up legends in the loudest dreams and old gold moments, new hearts revive. Welcome back to Tuesday Night Live.
Forgot to unmute my mic. Hey, YouTubers and friends. Welcome to another Tuesday Night Hangout live with Toledo, Jess, and I. And tonight, we have a friend of Flash in Your Pan who always seems to have a flash in his pan. Our friend Jeff Willaims is returning again to Tuesday Night Hangout live. So you know it's gonna be a great show tonight, and all you gold porn addicts, don't worry, Jeff got you hooked up. So don't go away, we'll be right back.
Every day on the creek there be flashes your plan.
Welcome back, Jeff.
Welcome back.
I like your new little logo. I happened to went to AskJeffWilliams.com this afternoon, and I snagged it. Hope you don't mind.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. There's rumors and wonders what the hell happened to Slim. Did you bury him in a shaft, or we see a lot of Lila now, but Lila, thank you.
Yep, Lila, that's the better half. She's the brains of the outfit.
We see a lot more of her,
right?
But a lot less of Slim. What have you done to Slim?
Oh, I know, right? The plot thickens. What happened to Slim? Did I finally off him and take over his claims? Ooh, the world may never know. I don't know. He took off to the outhouse one day and he never came back. And when I went to go check on him, I saw that there's a drift tunnel going down in there. So I've been looking for that stinker for a couple years now. But I have a feeling
he's
he's going to make his way back.
he's trying to beat you to that underground river of gold.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know, right?
So
And I know he's down there right now, just scooping up all that gold, laughing
Yeah,
at me.
he's
By the time
done.
I get down there, it'll just be black sand in the river.
You're gonna get down there. You're gonna be following that vein down there, and all of a sudden it's gonna open up into a big cavity where it's all been dug out already.
I know, right? And there'll be a sign there saying, "Got all the gold. See you later, sucker." Oh, but yeah, he might make a comeback one day. So I'm hoping so. I keep asking him to, but
You know how them Hollywood stars are.
I
you
know,
they-
right? He got a little fame in his head, and he
you
took
know,
off.
got a little
Two
bone to
bonds in a
pick with
Corvette.
someone, they take off. You know,
But he'll come back. They always come back.
oh yeah, they do. It's like, yeah,
I have to say you're progressing right along on your Patreon's drift mine.
Yeah, we're really pushing the heck out of that darn thing. We got a whole bunch of new innovative machines that we've been working on to help speed up the process because it's backbreaking work. And
I imagine.
I get tired of it, and I see all these people down in Cooper Pedy in Australia using all these cool toys, and I'm like, hey, how come we don't have those cool toys? So look for future episodes where you see something really interesting down there, taking a lot of the labor out of what I got to do to move some muck.
is that something you're gonna DIY, or is that something you're just gonna?
No, it's got to be DIY because the ones they use in Cooper Pedy are
DIY?
way too
DIY?
big. They won't
Yeah,
fit in
DIY.
they won't fit in the drifts. They're too large. And besides, the material we're working with is too soft. You go to advance the hydraulics up into the back for stabilization, it's just going to crumble around you. So we sat around the thinking table and came up with something different. And we were looking at a lot of the continuous miners that they use in coal mining for something like this because they're working in soft material as well. So we're like, okay, what can we use that's not going to be too difficult to create, that's going to increase our production rates, and it's not going to be a pain in the butt to get in and out of those drifts, those little tiny drifts.
Right.
So you'll see something here soon.
Mhm. But you ain't saying that's.
I know, of course not. Then what would be the fun? You'd be like,
Right.
oh yeah, I just talked about this already. I already know.
Yeah, right. How are you gonna get anybody to watch your videos if you already told them what's gonna be in the video?
Yeah, this is a picture of what it looks like. So, but
Yeah.
watch the video anyway for the surprise.
I watch a lot of them, Jeff, but I comment too few.
That's okay as long as you watch them and you enjoy them. That's all.
I watch them, I enjoy them, I learn from them. Since, I'm a
That's the
placer
best part.
miner, not a hard rock miner or even a
Right.
drift miner. But, there's one thing I've learned in prospecting for the past 30 some odd years is there's a never ending learning curve.
Oh yeah, and I'm learning all the time too. So I tell people you can't ever stop learning. You can't think that you're at the top of your game ever because Mother Nature will slap you back down in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
You will.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Uh,
We've got nothing on her.
No, I mean she's always changing the rule book. So I'm constantly putting in notes. I'm like, oh, this doesn't make sense. Now I really need to figure this out. So then I'll talk to my colleagues and they're like, we got some new research in this area. And I'm like, okay, well, I really need to learn this because I need to get a toehold on it so I can share it with my people because they're going to run into it in the field as well. So you can never be, like I said, at the very top and get comfortable or complacent. And complacency, like you saw in one of my videos, it'll bite you in the butt. Jeez, it
Always.
almost got me in one of the fluorite mines.
Well, that the other thing too, like what you're talking about here a second ago about you're gonna have to figure out a way to be able to do it. You've seen other people with different types of toys to play with.
Right.
We can't be complacent in the innovation either of
True.
what we're doing. Otherwise, we'd all still be using picks and shovels. Well, wait,
Exactly.
No, we still do, but
And
Just
I'll
makes-
never forget it. Old timer always told me, he said, Jeff, remember, work smarter, not harder.
right.
And I'm like, that's stuff. I know it sounds like a simple phrase, but I'm like, you know what? You're right. I've got access to all kinds of fabrication tools. Why don't we build stuff to take the place of back-breaking work. So that way we increase our productivity and we save our spines in the process.
Right. Well, yeah, you definitely increase your productivity, and I mean, imagine even today, if we were doing the work the way they did it back in let's say the 49ers time,
Right.
We'd all be feeling our age.
Well, we'd all be dead by 30. So,
Right, you know.
So
yeah,
no,
right,
right.
And it's like I said, the technology is evolving, everything is evolving. So why aren't we evolving when we're using this equipment in our minds? And so I saw that, I'm like, okay, so this is what we need to do. We need to create something that's specifically designed and tailored for our needs in our drift, and that will be very user-friendly and can be moved about in those tiny little drifts and move a lot of material. So we sat down and came up with something, and we're in the test phase of it right now to make sure that it works without, cutting somebody's finger off. So
right. Like the worst mindset you could have on something like this would be tradition. Depending on tradition to do what the work that, if you put a little mind thought to it, a little innovation to it, you could break away from that tradition and really break out of it, come up with something new.
Exactly.
And, but you gotta realize that you gotta move on from tradition.
Yep.
Get out of that.
And it's fun.
frame.
I always like to show what it's like to work with carbide or lantern, and pick and shovel, but it's not practical. And
Right.
I tell people, unless you got an army of miners that are, at your beck and call to be able to do this 24/7, it's not worth it. And you're just going to be grinding yourself down for nothing.
Well, what you just said was actually reality back in those days, right?
Yeah, that's all they had.
That's all they had. So it did take a workforce of, hundreds of miners down there doing that all day long.
Yep.
In order to pull that out. And that's what it would take today too. So yay for innovation.
Yay, technology and innovation. You got to love it.
Yeah, buddy. One of my favorite things. What, Ed? Were you going to say something? Did you have?
Nothing. I'm just reading some comments and
Oh,
stuff like
see any good ones in
he's
there?
having
like
a good time.
Patrick
Over there,
Truesdale.
jaw-jacking.
It wasn't letting me type in chat. I think I have it set for subscribers only, Pat. That keeps the bots out.
Right.
But I thought you were a subscriber. Jeff is the main YouTuber that got me started back in 2016.
One of the first YouTubers I started watching. Actually, it was Ed and Jeff were the first YouTubers I started watching.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
It's been a while, huh? We've been out.
Well,
we started YouTube back in 2009. You can believe
that
that.
was-
08.
about that. Yeah. Because I was
we
wanting to
part of
learn
08.
about, like a lot of people about that time saw Tom Massey doing his gold
Yeah.
fingers.
I remember
Right,
Tom
late at
Massey.
night. Right. I'm retiring. I'm watching TV late at night. I'm watching Massey, and I see he does a show and there's gold in Ohio, and I'm going, what? There's gold in Ohio?
Yeah, and before Tom was George the Buzzard. I remember watching
Right.
him.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Not me, but I wasn't into gold up until that point. Not that I hadn't been around it, because I'd been around it, just didn't ever find any myself.
That's
Right.
when I was
Yeah.
watching Gold Fever with the Buzzard.
Yeah.
And
I used to love watching that show.
yeah, it kind of got me hooked. And my brother got me watching it when I was in California painting my mom's house, and I bought into it, and I started gold painting Northwest Washington.
Right.
And you're still paying for it.
And you're still
Yeah.
paying it.
I'm still panning, still got the fever after
Oh,
all
it'll never
these
go away.
years.
Oh,
And
no.
I've always been kind of a rock houndy guy, and I've always liked geology and history. Always, I always enjoyed history, and you get the best of all those worlds right
Exactly,
into
all
it.
bundled up together.
Yeah.
Oh, and can't
Yeah, and
forget
that's why,
Dave
that's why
McCracken.
our show has evolved from when we first started just gold prospecting into all treasure hunting, just because it's all. I mean, what prospector doesn't go out and look at rocks? What
Exactly.
rock collector doesn't go out? It just all connects. Well, here and there, the dots do connect. We're all treasure hunters.
Exactly.
You like hard rock. You're doing hard rock. Let me ask you, do you like hard rock over everything else? I might
Actually,
have asked you this
let
question
me
before.
interject, Jess. He's doing drift mining, which is placer, correct?
That is correct. It's a paleoplacer deposit.
Right,
Okay.
it's an ancient buried deposit of placer material.
Exactly.
And they did a
Oh,
lot of drift mining in Alaska and the Klondike also.
Exactly. Same principle.
But
so
you're also a hard rock miner
Yes, I
also.
am.
so let me see if I got this clear then. You know, what you're doing is you're actually digging through ancient river channels, right?
No, it's
No.
a little more complex than the old tertiary channels that you're thinking of, like say
Okay.
in the gold fields of California, where you have all that ash flow tuff sitting on top of the ancient riverbeds, or up in Alaska, where you have all that conglomerate sitting on top of bedrock. What we're digging through is just layer upon layer of evaporated seabeds, which is all
Oh,
caliche, and you've got gypsum layers and clay layers. And so what we're doing is we're getting down to what is considered a false bedrock, because the true bedrock is about maybe 1,500 feet down. And so we are trying to tap onto those old cemented caliche beds, which is where the gold from that time period, the late Cretaceous, is where those are all sitting
where
on
that
top
gold
of.
is.
So we have to
Okay.
punch down through all the layers until we hit an impervious zone, which we did. And then we have to drift along the top of that and see where it goes and try to understand the
Okay.
flow of the old channels that used to flow into the old seas that were in this area before they evaporated. And you got to keep in mind that the sea evaporated and then it reformed, evaporated. There's many episodes of this. So that's why you're gonna have many different layers of deposition of clays where it was evaporating, and then it would the sea would fill back up, evaporate, and this is over hundreds of thousands of years. So you punch through all that, and then eventually you get down to what you see in the videos is this. It's a 5-foot layer. It's thick of cemented caliche. It's harder than concrete. You literally have to blast to get through it. And then below that is the sweet spot. Now there is gold on top, but we weren't anticipating anything below. We knew we were next to some old caverns. I'm sure you know which ones I'm talking about, but we never anticipated that they would open up underneath these caliche beds, and they have. And it's spooky because it's super soft. And we found what I believe is a prehistoric creature that's living down there. Many of them, but we found one, which is those large red worms that are living in that
The worm
really
people?
well. I wouldn't say worm people, but they're about 1.5 inches, 2 inch in diameter. These reddish black worms that live down in this clay zone that's under the caliche bed. And
Do
there's a
they have
lot of water
gnarly
down there.
teeth like the worms on Dune?
No, we never found the head. I
Oh.
got a video of me using a spade on a large impact gun that we're using. It's actually a jackhammer. And as I pull the spade back, you can see his body, and then a little bit of dirt falls on him. I move the dirt back, and he slides into his hole.
Oh, wow.
So we've been looking for him, and I know if there's one, there's got to be many more. And
Right.
as we've gone down, we start hitting water tables, and the water is obviously connected to an aquifer because when we get monsoons here, the water comes up, and then when we go into a dry season, the water goes down. And we've drilled it, we've augered it, and when we're hitting it, I'm nervous because it's so soft. I'm waiting for the auger to fall through. And one of the cave systems that we punched into, you can actually hear running water in there. And I know that somehow they're connected, but I can't fit in the cave system. I'm too big. And we tried cameras on a stick and remote control cars, and I've done countless videos on it. But I'm going to have to blast to get in there. But I'm afraid if I do, it's all going to come down.
No, cave
So,
it, yeah.
It's a catch-22. So what we decided is, for now, we'll leave the cave system alone. We'll go back to the sump. The sump is, the place I'm referencing. And what we'll do is we'll just start use an auger and augering down into it and see what comes up. And of course, I'll be tied in just in case it does fall through. So I don't go for a ride, because I really don't know what's down there. And it's really spooky because, like I said, we started drilling at first and the drill just kind of drops in. And I'm like, there's a void in there of some kind. And your imagination starts to play with you, and you're like, is it like a huge chamber full of worms? Am I on the top of a cave system? I know that cocoa weep is in the area, so we're not far from the cocoa weep caverns. So what are we about to tap into? And I noticed that the soil, there's different layers of it that are very rich and other layers that are not, and it smells really bad, like bacteria. So I'm wondering if that's the waste that the worm is creating as it eats the nutrients out of the soil. It's never seen the day of the light of day because it's so far down, and there's no way it's going to come up through 5 feet of cemented caliche. It's impossible. It took us a month to drill and pop through it. So
what kind of nutrients would be down there?
I don't know. I've actually thought about sending a sample into a lab to find out what exactly makes up the composition of this thing.
Right.
So
how much organic,
you need to catch one. You could find a new specimen, Jeff.
Yes, but the problem is if you find something that was supposed to be extinct, they're going to want to know where it came from.
Oh,
you know what kind of surface that's going to create?
I found it in a hole. I was digging a latrine in the superstitions.
I learned a long time ago, if you mess with the man's going to mess with you.
Right. So that's why you don't mess with box turtles anymore.
That's right. You don't do anything. And if I caught a worm, I certainly wouldn't be going around the university saying, "Hey, man, I think this thing's extinct." "Oh, yeah, where'd you get it?" "Well, I can't tell you." "Oh, well, come with us."
Yeah, that would really suck. Although, I mean, you took a look at the guy who discovered Uperlite.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's making out okay over it,
Right.
But of course, you're in a different situation. You got little.
That's
a little different.
What were they calling it? A gruboid or whatever?
Like a gruboid.
Yeah.
So I would imagine the first thing they do is say that this is an endangered species, and this area is cordoned off under government and control, and we have to do studies and no, and then there goes years and years of work and research and sampling and digging.
They corrected me. Graboid.
So it freaked me out, and everybody wants to see it again, and I it wouldn't hurt me one bit if I never saw it again, because it freaked me out. I couldn't go back down for a week because I had all these nightmares of just the sump filling up with them, and they're all coming out.
Damon from West Coast Prospecting has a good point. May have already said too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought of that too. But the way I look at it is, as long as I don't have one in my hand or a jar, then they'll be like, well, I haven't actually seen it yet, so we're just going to wait for him to produce something.
And then of course, don't forget, all they got to do is watch a bunch of your videos and they go, nah.
Exactly. So it's like, I know they're down there. It freaks me out every time I get in there. And but I know that the really easy gold and better gold is down there. So it's like, you just gotta, man up and bite the bullet and get in there and just, go for it and make sure your pant legs are taped up and your arms are taped up so nothing can get in there.
So you don't even know what the head looks like on them yet.
No, I don't know what the head looks like. I don't know if it's got a mouth like a conventional mouth or prongs, or if it's just a giant overgrown earthworm. I don't know what the head looks like, and that's the worst part. If I knew what it looked like, then I could be at ease. But my
Either be afraid
imagination's
or-
running wild
Yeah,
with me.
you know whether to either be afraid or not.
Yeah,
Here's
exactly.
a theory in the room on Slim. Jeff, GoPro Unlimited says the worm is with Slim.
Yep, and Slim is worth the worm. I could actually see him riding one around.
Well, here's a possibility though, Jeff. Think about it. If this project goes bust, you've always got worms.
That's true, and that's something that you wouldn't brag
Bigger
about
the
normally.
bait, the bigger the fish. Ohio
Hey, baby,
Relic
worst case,
Hunter
I got
says
worms.
those aren't worms, they are dragon larvae protecting the gold deposit.
Probably. My biggest fear is that is not a worm. It's actually a tentacle connected to a hydra. So, I should get that on a coffee cup that says "Got worms."
Got worms.
Another Southwest miner, Willie Shiny Gold, says, tell him to take his own advice and to keep his pants on. He'll be all right.
Oh, I'm keeping them on. I'm not getting in there butt naked because worms have a tendency to find holes.
Whoa.
So,
And the wrong word could make their own hole.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. I ain't coming back up.
Yep, that's right, Graveyard.
So-
Great fish bait.
So I made the suggestion earlier. Let's see if we can get some of our chat room to come on in and
Yeah, we
ask Jeff some
decided to
questions.
do
Something-
something new about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
It's because he's gonna get the same questions, and you're gonna hear the same questions from me you always hear. So
And you'll probably get the same answers.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Well,
I know what he's gonna
I
answer
have
here.
a
I'll ask it
question
anyway.
about Tommy knockers.
Okay.
Now
shoot.
Jeff, your Patreon placer mine, that isn't Slim's place, right?
It's what?
Slim Pickens. That isn't
Yeah.
Slim.
That's
Slim
the name of one
Pickens?
of the drifts. We have another drift that I named after my dad, Wobble Pop's drift.
Okay.
And then my wife just recently has her own drift too.
Okay. Now, are these fresh mines that you're starting, or are they reclaimed mines that you've continued?
Nope, I started it.
Okay. Now here comes my question. Since it's a fresh mine, it'd be Tommy Knocker free, right?
Right. But if you remember, what did we do? We tapped into the old Chinese workings.
Oh, I remember that one. Yes.
Yes, we did.
So
I-
you
'cause
have
I
their
found-
Tommy Knocker.
Bingo.
A
Exactly.
Chinese Tommy Knocker. Wonder.
So we thought we found the original shaft. It was the wrong one. Then we found the right one. We dug into it, and that's what we fully opened up. Put a complete timbered shaft in all the way down, and that's the main haulage shaft that we're using today, because it's so much more productive. We just enlarged it so we could remove more material, and that's the one that's got all the freaky noises in it. And of course, it's got a worm too. What more do you want?
At least one, right?
Worms
yeah,
and
I'm happy
Chinese
with just
Tommy
one.
Knockers.
Or the tentacles of something bigger.
Yeah, I know, right?
I
Like pirate lore.
want to
But-
thank Patrick
So-
Truesdale for the $8 super chat, and please ask Jeff if he's secretly a silver stacker.
Oh yeah, of course. I
Nobody
stack
knows
silver
about
and
it.
gold. You'd be a fool not to stack silver. I love stacking silver and gold. First of all, I love both of those metals, especially gold. But
Right.
I've always liked, whenever I get a couple extra bucks, I'll go get some silver. It's cheap, You can stack bars of it, not a big deal. You can hedge against, a collapse of dollar or, inflation. And then if you got enough bucks, get a little bit of gold too to throw in there, increase your portfolio. So it doesn't hurt. It's never going to go down in value. If anything,
It's always going to have value, right?
yeah, precious metals have always held their value. And I always try to explain this to people is, look, gold and silver, they don't go up and down. It's the purchasing power of the dollar that goes up and down. So when you see the price of gold shoot up past 2,000, that just means the dollar's tanking. That's all that means. So
Right.
An ounce of gold bought the same as it did in 1850 as it does today. Exactly. It's just the inflation, deflation processes that the Federal Reserve does to our dollar makes it worthless. And now all of a sudden gold's worth $2,500 an ounce. Well, that's because your dollar is worth nothing.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
would behoove you to stack precious metals. I mean, other
Yeah,
countries
because-
do it all the time, and they're doing it right now, secretly behind the scenes.
Well,
Jesse,
and,
there's a bunch of comments and questions in the side chat. But
Is there?
Are you getting overwhelmed there? You need a moderator in the background to go through your comments.
Yeah, Outdoor Wally. He's got.
Oh,
a
I know
question.
Outdoor Wally. He's
Yeah,
a
he's
good
got a
old boy.
question. He wants to know how do gold and other minerals leach deeper into vein structure?
How do they leach deeper? Well, there's a process called supergene leaching, which is one way where you can have gaussins, which are sulfides that can leach a lot of your metals down. And over a process of continual leaching, you can get what's called secondary enrichment zones. And they have that with copper, and I've seen it with gold as well. So that's one way you can leach, if that's what he's referring to, minerals out of an existing system. Now, like I said, we're referring to gaussins in this conversation. I don't know if he's referring to something else, but that's what I'm going to go with on that one.
Okay. And then Carson Prospecting. See, these guys are supposed to be calling in, but at least we're getting questions tonight.
well, those were compiling up since we started.
Yeah.
And we even
Carson-
bypassed saying hello to our fabulous.
Yeah, we didn't even say
community.
hello to our chat room yet.
Don't
That's
think
all
we
right.
don't love you. We're
do.
just excited to have Jeff back. It's-
That includes all you lurkers out there. You know
that's
who you
true.
are.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
We
Well,
have
here,
a
you
few
know
of
what's-
them that you've
know what's
probably
funny?
been on the
We
road.
know who they are too.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
So you got
So
your
Carson-
eyes on too.
Carson Prospecting wants to know if you're the Marines or Army.
Yeah, ex-Army, retired. I got stories I could tell you. Oh my goodness.
I got some too. I was in Vietnam.
Oh yeah, then you.
I don't know if they're better. but
Oh man.
they're
Hey,
stories.
did you ever work with the tunnel rats?
I was a Cobra crew chief.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and we had in our company, we were what they call a rat kill company, where we had a company of grunts, and in the grunts they had their tunnel rats,
Right.
and but we were cavalry, so that's as close as I got to him was saying, hey,
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a Cobra crew chief. Yeah, we had them. They're little guys.
Yeah.
That was
Just
a-
like me.
That would be a sucky job.
It depends. I mean, some guys liked it, some of them didn't. Some of it messed with their heads for years.
Yeah,
So but it had to be done. So
right. That's like being a Jack Russell Terrier amongst a bunch of pit bulls and
yeah.
Rottweilers and stuff. But yeah, those guys were cool. They were all cool. Everybody was
Wow.
cool.
Hey,
But,
Jeff,
Yes, sir.
GoPro Unlimited has to go to the bathroom. He's one of our major gold porn addicts. Show some gold right now.
All right. Well, I got a nugget right here. I don't know if you can see it. That's a
Oh,
nugget.
that's a nugget.
Oh yeah,
Came out of the
that's
drift
a
mine.
nugget.
Can you see it?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That's nice. Got a good shot.
Yeah. And then
Nuggets.
I've got hard rock gold here. This came out of our hard rock mines. Oh, we just got our assay reports in today too. So
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy with that. Oh, and then this is from the sump. So we got tons of this stuff we got from the sump.
Oh, cool.
So
That's that soft stuff you were talking about, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So what we do is when we give it away, we try to keep it, it stays moist for about 2 weeks in the bag as long as no air gets to it. So I always tell people, if you got a chance and you have friends that work in labs, send off a sample and find out what kind of organics and bacteria are living in that stuff. Because if it's prehistoric or whatever, it should have some kind of a signature to it.
Right.
So,
and there's gold in that material.
yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, the top, there's 3 layers that we identified that were very rich. Of course,
Yeah.
there's layers in between that have nothing. So what we've done is we've marked them and we exploit those, and then we're going down further to see if they get richer or more concentrated. And in the meantime, just watch out for the worms and hope the bottom don't fall out.
Right. So Ohio Relic Hunter asked Jeff if those layers are predictable or some kind of predictability to when they hit one. Not sure. Let me read that again.
So, yeah, say that again. So
If those layers are predictable or some kind of predictability to when they'll hit one. I mean, I'm not quite sure.
I can't is if he's referring to the sump, I can't predict it. There's no amount of geological expertise that's going to tell you which layer is going to be the richest in the sump. Now, above the sump, it's easier to identify the layers in the stratigraphy, but down below, it's anybody's game because there's no consolidation of the material whatsoever. And you know when you start to hit a rich vein because you'll see fine sand right on the top of it. It's not even sand. It almost looks like gritty comb quartz that's right on the top. And I've shown video of that too. And it's all nasty and red, and there's large chunks or nodules that are forming inside of it. And we've broke them open hoping to find gold on the inside, but we haven't. They are hollow, so there is a chance there could be something on the inside, but we haven't found anything significant on the inside so far.
So are you like watching like or being right in the middle of the process of the earth forming?
No, we're very far from it. The Earth's mantle is I mean, you've got 10 kilometers deep before you really start getting into anything. So we're barely scratching the surface on this.
Oh, okay.
What we're playing with above the caliche beds is everything that's eroded down out of the surrounding hills for the last several million years.
Well,
go ahead.
I was talking about that material down in the sump.
Now in the sump, that, like I said, that's anybody's game. We're still trying to figure out rhymes and reason because it shouldn't be there. With everything that I know about that area and the geology, it shouldn't be like that. That's why this thing is so it's interesting, but it's profound, and it's very frustrating because I have yet to find anybody who knows anything about this, and so we're in unknown territory.
So you don't even know what the material is?
Oh yeah, we've ran it under microscopes, and you can see that it's made up huge concentrations of iron. I mean, just massive amounts of iron in it, huge amounts of silica in there, manganese is in there, and these are all perfect elements that you want in the combination for gold deposition. But the thing is, the nodules are forming inside of this sand deposit, and it's very bizarre. And so we sampled that, and it's almost like these nodules are concretions that are forming out of the material. It's consolidating and turning into small concretions. And then the cores of them some of them are hollow, some of them are not. And they have incredible amounts of iron in the middle.
So you're calling it a sump. Is that because it's like in a contained area?
It's at the very bottom of the shaft. So most of your shafts have a sump. The sump just means that's the lowest level of a mine, and that's where we drop our shaft sinking bucket, our skip bucket. It sits down there, and that way we have a it's like an ore chute that drops on top of it, and then you can dump the ore cars directly into it. So the sump is just the lowest part of a mine. Some mines are wet, so it collects water and they pump it out. Ours does have water in it when we go through the rainy season, and we have installed a pump down there too. It's like I said, it's exciting, but I'm very apprehensive about it because I can't find any information on this and nobody knows. So it's, I'm like a pioneer in this area. So I'm being very cautious about what I do down there. And I'm always wearing full PPE while I'm down there because I don't know what's in the soil. It smells bad. It's probably got bacteria in it of some kind. I've got weird spiders that are coming out now that I've never seen before. I've documented those. So yeah, it's like I said,
it could be the communal outhouse.
Yeah. I know, right?
All the creatures that live down there go there and do their business.
I know, right? Just leave me the gold. That's all I care.
Well, somebody's bringing it in, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out, is the worms crapping it out or what?
I don't know. Hey, that's a theory.
I'll pay them good money to keep crapping it out. I'll just follow them around with a little bucket.
Quit killing them.
Yeah, I'm not going to kill them. Just keep letting them make it. It's funny. On a side note, there is bacteria that produces gold. You can see that down in Quartzsite. They've actually documented bacteria that as a byproduct produces very finite amounts of gold. But it shows that the process is there. It does exist. So, you take all this into accountability, and you're thinking, all right, so exactly how is the gold forming? Is it being was it brought in during the late Cretaceous or even before that? Or is something else going on? Now,
is it still being made?
Yeah. Now, I was going into that point. I can talk on hours for this subject. So I have actually seen gold in ionic form in red clays that if you continue to saturate it with water and a little bit of heat, it'll actually, crystals of gold will precipitate out of that just with the water. I'm not talking about acids or chlorine or any type of sulfur like what we're traditionally known to help precipitate gold out, or irons that will precipitate. It's just it's already there. It's in ionic form, and the water is precipitating it out over time. And I've actually seen crystals. They're like dendritic crystal form out of this. It's so beautiful to see, but it's extremely fragile and extremely tiny. So
we were just talking a little while ago too about how Mother Nature, does things, how magnificent it is. The fact that we're using the same chemicals that she uses, to concentrate gold,
Exactly. So a lot of things that we use in the industry to help concentrate and precipitate it is the same thing that you can see naturally occurring. Maybe not as strong, but it's still the same principles. So So when we are looking at this stuff, we try to apply all this information, all the sciences, and try to understand what exactly is going on in this particular model, this deposition model. And so we're taking notes, we're writing it all down because we don't know if this has been done before, if there's maybe some type of a paper on it somewhere, a research paper. We haven't come across it. So for our own benefit, we're writing everything down. And then that way, if if we need to go back and reflect on those notes, we have them. And two, I can say, I don't know what this is. I'm going to pass this off to one of my colleagues or maybe a professor of mine and see if he can make heads or tails out of it.
Right.
So, like I said, and this goes right back to what we were saying, is you can't know it all. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you've got a PhD in every type of field of science that exists. You can't know it all. Because Mother Nature, she always holds the ace, and she's going to put it in your face every time. So Well, you're gonna have. Now, he's not talking about the old Mount St. Helens eruption, right? Like a recent landslide. Well, is it like a lahar that's coming down off the mountain, or is it pyroclastic flow? I mean, it's kind of an open-end question because neither one is going to create gold deposition. It can reveal existing ones, or it can move and reconsolidate. But the pyroclastic flow, if it settles long enough, like ash flow and tuff and welded tuff, if there's enough mineral assemblages in there, it can precipitate gold out over time. But for it to happen right away, no. But yes, and volcanoes do help in the process of creating gold, and that is another long winded subject that I could get into, but that gets into your epithermals. Oh, well, we've been out over in like North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Their gold deposits are very similar to what you have over in California. You have the black slate belts that run through there. And those areas are no different. You have slate belts running through North and South Carolina that is hosting your gold deposits. That's where they're all forming. And of course, slate's metamorphic rock, and the processes are the same. Regional metamorphism creating that. Now, what is happening is the reason why it's associated with that particular metamorphic rock, that slate, in that deposition model, is because of the carbon that's inside of the slate, the black slate. The carbon is giving the black slate its color. If you know anything about processing gold, they use carbon stacks to pull gold out of cyanide pregnated solutions. Gold loves carbon. That's one of the things it's attracted to. So I tell people, your black slate belts are, and I'm not saying it's going to be in every particular scenario, but a lot of your black slate belts have been known to have gold that is familiarized with it, or concentrated with it, or associated with it. And the reason why is because of the carbon. It's that simple.
Okay, and that was for Devo Gold Adventures. He mines in the Carolinas, and he's from PA.
Okay. Well, he's in, like I said, Tom Reed mines out there. He's in the perfect spot for gold if he's in the Carolinas. And Georgia, same thing.
Yeah.
And those areas were known for their first gold. If you remember the first gold rushes that we had.
Right.
Yeah. 20 years before the California gold rush.
California was the third major gold rush. And the only reason it's been so pronounced in our history books is because there was a huge mass exodus because it was promoted so much. So
that was big news.
And the size and scale of the gold they're finding there, puts the other ones, into the back category. Because the Sierras they were just loaded with gold in the mother lode country. And they still got gold.
He's in the Vane Mountain area of North Carolina. He's not far from the Lost Dutchman's Vane Mountain camp, actually. Nebo.
Our buddy Rock Butcher asking about those nodules you were finding down in the sump.
Yeah.
He says, do the nodules have some carbon near the middle? Metals will collet or stick on carbon under correct conditions.
There's a lot of iron. It looks like iron. I haven't had it tested. It may have carbon associated with it. I just naturally assumed it was iron because we panned it and it was extremely heavy. And I didn't run on a fire assay, or I didn't use a XRF gun on it. So to know exactly what it is, no, I don't know. I'm just assuming because it's heavy and it's black and there's a lot of iron associated with this particular deposit. So I just put the two together. So it would be interesting to actually run it through some type of a chem lab test and find out exactly, is there any carbon associated with it? So I hadn't even thought about that.
We have Pete Doty in the waiting room, Jesse.
Okay, go ahead. I'll finish this question. Richard B asked, ask Jeff, what is an assay?
Okay, well, I can summarize that real quick because that could be a long-winded explanation, but basically an
And I'm sure
assay,
you can even make it longer.
I can, right? Hold on, let me get my coffee. So, basically an assay is a way that laboratories and mining companies determine what grade or percentage of particular metals is in a sample. And that sample is usually a rock that's been crushed up to a powder, about 29 grams. And they can determine based on the type of assay, usually fire assay, that's what we're talking about here. They can determine what particular metals are in that sample. And that's what assays are generally used for, fire assays, to determine what is in that particular rock. And all mining companies have their own labs, sometimes two labs. That way you have verification on your numbers to find out exactly what's in the rock. Because there's times you're not going to see the gold. You're going to look at a chunk of rock and think it's barren, but there's actually gold in it. It's microscopic and you can't see it. So you need to have the lab do an assay on it, find out what the percentage is, the grade is on the gold, and what other minerals are associated with it. And then by doing that, you can set up your recovery system, your leaching system to get the minerals out, because each ore is different. And you can't just say, well, I'm going to crush it and table it and run it through cyanide. It's not that simple, because some ores are very complex, especially, some of your sulfides. The refractory ores are very complex, and you have to have a chemical lab on hand at all times and a specialist to know how to keep the pH balances of that cyanide within the spectrum for that particular ore.
See, I told you could stretch it out.
And that's the short version.
Hey, well, check this out. That was only the first part of his question.
Cut!
Here's the second part of his question. Thanks, Richard. Is that by fire?
Yes.
XRF.
Nope. I don't.
AA. Wait a
Nope.
minute. I'm not done. I'm not done. He's got me reading some words here, dude. So I'm gonna do them. All right.
AA stands for atomic absorption.
He's
Okay,
also
cool.
a geologist.
Hydrometallurgical extraction,
Right.
chemical extraction. What are you talking about? You're talking fire, right?
Right. So
Okay.
fire assay. Now the other ones, they've used those in laboratories too, and it all is dependent upon the type of ore that you're trying to get analysis of, to determine what kind of values are in there, what particular metals, because each one is different and requires a different approach. So, but a fire assay generally is used for your PGMs and your gold and your silver. It's been around forever, for hundreds, if not thousands of years. They've been using fire assays. It's a really simple process to determine what your grade is. When I say grade, what your ounce per ton or gram per ton of one particular type of metal, usually gold, silver, or your PGMs. And fire assays are the most accurate. Now, XRFs, they're okay if you're in the field and you want to do a real quick down and dirty analysis of what you're looking at. But keep in mind that XRFs are only going to do the very top layer of whatever it is it's scanning. It doesn't know what's inside the rock, and it can't get an average. So it's, like I said, it's a quick down and dirty way to get a sample, to understand what you're looking at. Maybe I'll do a grab sample and later do a fire assay on it after I get good results from an XRF. But to me, I'm just going to do grab samples. I'll put them in bags, send them off to the lab, call it a day. I'm not going to spend $12,000 on an XRF. Just say, oh yeah, it's got high, it's got a high percentage of gold in it. Well, I can tell by looking most of the time, and I'll just do a grab sample. And even if I don't know, I'll still do a grab sample, because fire assays are the most accurate. And if you really want to know what's in that rock, fire assay. And especially if you're got a multi-million-dollar company, or you're planning on selling your claim to a multi-million-dollar company, or you have a lot of funds tied up in processing equipment and you need to know how much gold or silver is tied up in that rock. That's the best way, and that's the only way I'll do is fire assay.
That's probably your most tried and true method, most accurate,
most trusted.
because it's measuring all the gold that you've got in that
Right.
sample bank. It's
Well, and
measuring
the way that they do fire assays, you know, you don't just give them some rocks and then they crush it up and do that. They'll actually grind it and they'll part it, mix it, and they'll make sure that it's an average of what that you gave them. So I like it. And what I'll do is I'll send them in multiple samples of the same vein just to make sure I've got the right numbers. And then if you really want to make sure, you can have a second lab back up those numbers by having their own report come in. So that way, if you really want to know, like say, because some companies are like, you know, we're about ready to dump, you know, several $1 million into this project. We have to know what the grade is. And then, of course, I didn't even touch upon reserves, which is usually when you're going to use a RC drill or a diamond bit drill for doing cores. I haven't even got into that aspect of it. We're just doing fire assays.
Okay,
Well,
we
Are you
have,
guys awake in there?
we
I
have
know I'll
Heath,
talk your ear off.
no, that's fine.
we have Heath
Heath,
Doty
unmute
here
yourself,
from New York, and let's hear what he has to ask. Unmute, Heath. Don't pull an Ed and ask a question with your mute on.
You got
How we
enough
doing
light
tonight,
there, Jeff?
That's
You got
funny.
enough light?
Yeah, I'm trying to get more
Okay.
light in here so I can see you guys. There.
Oh.
Claim jumper.
Good evening, Jeff. How are you?
Hey, good evening. Do we got another one?
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
Heath
good.
Doty.
Oh, yeah,
from-
there you are.
Hey,
Because
man.
it's a little tiny box.
Yeah,
Looks like a
probably.
phone.
Yeah, I'm on my phone.
There you are.
So my question to you is, when you were out in Watkins Glen checking things out there in the park,
Oh, I love that area.
yeah, it's a beautiful place out there, that's for sure. So I guess I could ask you this. So with the laws that we have in place here, we can't keep the gold we find here in New York. Now, there's not spectacular amounts of gold that I have found here on the East Coast side of New York. There is gold here, and there's others that are down in the chat that have found gold here in New York.
I thought
Where I'm
Jeff
at-
found gold in a cemetery in New York.
Yeah, I found gold in the cemetery. But anyway, continue with your question. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Heath. Sorry.
Hard
No,
to pull
you're-
those teeth out?
Yeah, you're good. Do you ever plan on coming back to New York and maybe checking out some places around, let's say the East Coast part of it, or the eastern side of New York into Vermont? Because with Vermont, there's a breccia tube that comes through, and we do pretty well around that area as far as finding some gold. But do you ever make plans, or would you ever make plans to come back to New York and hit the eastern side where we have all the waterfalls and the geological things are slightly different than, let's say, the middle to the east or to the west side of New York?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We, before COVID hit, we were going out to New York every year. If you watch the videos, sometimes twice a year. And we go out there for several reasons. We have family out there, but we also like to go prospecting. I can tell you, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'll tell you anyway, there is gold out there by the Finger Lakes, where the glaciers have cut those Finger Lakes. And the gold, the heaviest concentrations that we found is on the southeastern sections of the Finger Lakes. So at the very bottom to the east of that is where we found the highest concentrations. And I'm assuming it's because of the terminal moraines that were there and the outwash has concentrated it. So that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at lode gold as much. Looking for more glacial tills to actually prospect through. But you guys do have gold, like when you get up to Connecticut and Vermont, there is higher concentrations of gold up in there. I haven't been up in there far enough to be able to say this is where I would go. So far, we focused mostly on New York area and Pennsylvania, trying to determine what's in that particular location since we're there all the time.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you this. So I'm just outside of Albany. I don't know. I'm 45 minutes from Albany, 28 roughly from Vermont.
Okay.
So if you're ever back out in this area, I'm throwing an open invitation to be able to come out.
Yeah.
And I'll bring you in Vermont and show you a few places that we do pretty well on.
Okay. Yeah, around those
So-
brecciated zones. And that would make
Yep.
sense because the
Yep.
rock has been fractured and re-cemented. And usually it's the fine grain mass that's re-cementing it that carries the values.
Right. You'd have a blast out here looking at some of the geological differences that we have.
Right.
It's incredible.
And you're right, because everything is different where you're at as compared
Yep.
to the Southwest and California. All that area is completely different.
Right. Right.
That's the fun part about traveling around the country looking for gold is all the spots you go to, you have to look for it different.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
you have to use different methods of finding the gold and catching the gold.
Yeah.
West Coast Gold Prospecting says, tell Jeff he is welcome to come use the hookah here in Southern Oregon with me on one of my adventures.
He
He
does
does-
a lot of
he-
sniping,
I-
and he's doing really
Oh, dude.
good too.
Oh, dude. Yeah. What do you got?
Nice.
24 grams one time in one crack?
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Something
what
like
it's all about right there.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a good guy too.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd be
yeah,
more than
he does,
happy
hey.
to take him up on that.
Yeah. And then Patrick Truesdale says, I feel like he could find some opal in those layers. Has he found anything using a black light?
We've taken black lights down, particularly the long wave. And the only thing that we're really finding is gypsum rose and gypsum crystal clusters. And that's a no-brainer. As the seas evaporated time and time again, they'll leave that behind and they'll precipitate in the clay. And I've actually shown those on film where we have large,
Yeah, you've got
it's like a
massive-
desert rose. Some of them
Yeah.
are long and other ones
Yeah.
are clusters.
pulled one out that was almost 6 inches long.
Yeah, exactly. It's about yay long. It looked like a spearhead.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hey, Ed, do you remember
Yeah.
if it's the shortwave lights that they use for the Uper light?
Shortwave UV, not long wave, I don't believe.
Yeah,
Okay.
take a shortwave one down there
Yeah.
and see if that makes a difference because it's I guess there's things that will show up in shortwave that don't show up with long wave.
Right.
So,
Now, the reason why I use long wave a lot is because it shows fluorite really well. And fluorite where
Right.
I'm at is associated with gold deposits.
okay.
So that's why I'm using that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We should take them both down there. And it was just
Yeah.
convenient. I had it with me. So I'm like, oh, let me take a look around.
That's another thing for you to think about.
Yep, I know, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, you never know what you're gonna find down there. You take a shortwave down, you might find a pocket of opals down there. Wow.
Exactly. You never know.
Or anything, you know? What else shows up? Fluorescence.
Worms.
Worms?
Well, I don't want to see that.
Oh,
That
would be
Oh,
weird.
those darn worms.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, Jeff, for answering my question about New York and
Of course. And I
hopefully at some
appreciate
point-
the invite. Next time we're out, which will probably
Yeah.
be maybe at the end of this year when it starts to cool off in the fall,
Oh,
we
yeah.
might head back out there
Perfect.
and then stay in probably Brooklyn and then just work our way all the way up.
Yeah, perfect. Well, straight run up through, and maybe at some point I'll run into you. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we'll
talking
give
with
a shout out before we do it. That way, if our schedules connect, we can
Yeah.
hook up.
you. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be a good time to get you up into Vermont and let you play around up there. That's for sure.
So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
no,
No problem.
Anywhere
Enjoy
is
your
a fun
evening.
place to look
Thank
for
you.
gold.
You too.
Thanks for calling in, Heath. I'll see you this weekend. All right. Anyone else? The Zoom link's posted at the top of the chat. I'm dropping it again. Until we get someone else, Jesse has a lot of questions and comments in our Zoom chat to ask Jeff.
I've actually
Well, I'm
already,
sure, right?
I've already caught up to him. I worked him into our conversation.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Did you get? Um,
I'm getting ready to do the Canadian Hillbillies comment here. He wants to know if you ever think about a Canadian trip.
A Canadian trip.
Yeah.
Actually, we had one set up for June, but it fell apart. So
No.
no.
And Richard B says, "Tell Jeff he knows me."
yeah, but
Oh, Richard B. Hey, Richard.
Send him
He's
a
the one who's been
couple of
asking those
samples.
questions.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you, Richard B. I got the assay reports back on the ore. You know this ore, and the assay reports came back really well, really interesting on the PGMs, on the palladium, like you said. So yeah, I'll give you a call and I'll go over the complete report with you. And
Yeah, he was the one that was asking about the assay. What's an assay? And then the rest of the question. That was him.
Richard B.
Yeah.
He's pulling your leg. He used to
He's
do
pulling your
assays.
leg.
Yeah, you messing. Would you stop messing with me, Richard? He used to do assays all the time. He's the assay king. So anyway, I've got assay report from Reed's Laboratories out of California. I'll give you a call and I'll tell you what they sent in. It's really interesting. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
That's cool. Always cool. Oh, you did not. Heavy metal detective. You didn't call in. I didn't hang up on you.
It would have been me that would have hung up if anyone would have hung up, Heavy.
Right.
Take a break, but don't go far. Gold fever's burning like a shooting star. Grab a snack, stretch it out. Still more stories to talk about. Shovels in the dirt, pickaxes high. Treasures waiting, reach for the sky. Tuesday night hangout live, don't go away. We'll be back real soon, there's more to say. Legends of gold, secrets untold. The hunt's not over, there's more to unfold. From lost mines to rivers wide, prospectors digging side by side. Old time stories, brand new finds. Gold and treasure, history shines. Shovels in the dirt, pickaxes high. Treasures waiting, reach for the sky. Tuesday night hangout live, don't go away. We'll be back real soon, there's more to say. Legends of gold, secrets untold. The hunt's not over, there's more to unfold.
Aaron, good to see you. Keep up the good work, Brewers. Miss Laurel, good to see our New Yorkers in here, along with our Aussies and everybody else.
Take a little break here to say hi to our chat room, the prospecting
Did
geologist.
you
What's
ask
up?
Will
Oh,
Shiny
very nice.
Gold? Please ask Jeff if he's ever found a nugget in a cow. What?
Oh,
Hi.
in a cow pie. We had a friend of ours find a nugget in a cow pie. He was metal detecting on one of our tours, and he showed me a piece of cowpie, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And he goes, watch, I want to show you something. And he crushes it all down, and a little nugget came out of it. I'm like, what is that? Where did you get that? So yeah, it's possible.
Now you got everybody going around. Make sure you check them cow
Yeah.
pies. Make sure you check those.
And the road apples too. Check them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the road apples.
Yeah, you're gonna have people grinding them up, especially around the Oatman area, because those burros will eat anything.
Yeah, Brad Walsh from Australia wanted to know if you've ever been sniping for gold.
Yeah, we've done videos on that too. We've used all types of equipment, sucker tubes, snorkels, just doing the bedrock thing. Yeah, we've sniped a lot. Usually we'll go out to a mineral bar by Colfax. Oh, and I got a secret about that place too. An old timer revealed to me where all the gold is coming from that's loading up mineral bar. So we went out there. I even filmed it too, and we found it. It's an old tertiary channel way up on the ridge.
Yeah.
So it's got plenty of gold in it, but you got to go through a ton of poison ivy to get to it.
Right. Yeah, I'm heading out there this summer up to the North Yuba River.
Oh man, great spot. All those rivers.
Yeah.
So American, Feather, Yuba.
Yeah, there's an outie happening up there. A nugget hunt.
Okay.
That'll be fun. Let's see. Yeah, everybody loves the Yuba.
Yeah, Yuba's a good one.
Yeah. Let me see. Any more questions here? Oops. Come on, stop. My fat fingers. Have you met Brian Wilder?
God, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, American Gold Prospectors.
Gold Prospectors. He's
you want to go up? You want to go up to?
Huh?
Yeah, you want to go dredging up in the Northeast. American Gold Prospectors. He kills it up there. Brian Wilder, he was on Bering Sea Gold.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the divers.
Oh, was he on Ice Cold Gold too when they did that?
He
No.
might have been on the film crew because he dove
but
one
he might
year,
have been on the film crew.
and then he got hired by the production company to be a cameraman.
Got it.
But he goes to Arizona all over. He's young and retired and was smart with his money. And now he travels a lot and mines, dredges all over Virginia, down south, north, south, or southeast. My directions right now. Out west, southwest, up in wherever it takes him. I think he's working an actual mine site right now. Where's that, Brian? Montana, Idaho, somewhere. Hard telling with that guy. He's all over the map, Jeff.
Wow.
Is Brian
Sounds like
in the
my
house?
kind of
Call
guy.
in, Brian, put your pants on and call in.
Nevada. He's working.
Get them pants on, boy.
He's working an actual mine in Nevada right now.
Oh, very nice.
He go for Vern in Nome. Good guy, really good guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hooking up with him.
Yeah, that'd be the guy to hook up with if you want to dredge in the Northeast, up in Vermont and up in Maine, up in that area.
Right.
Yeah, come on, Brian. Everybody wants you to call in.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't get a chance to say hi to the world's greatest moderator, Mr. Lodek.
Oh yeah, that reminds me, Jesse. during Prospectors radio show last Sunday, Mr. Lodak or Jaron Wheeler, world's greatest moderator, brought up tonight's show. You know, since we always bring up Prospectors Radio and GPS, and he's like, they're having Jeff Willaims, and oh, your buddy Dennis Dayton was kind of bummed. I guess he's been messaging you and emailing you and trying to get you on.
Oh, yeah. I remember I saw something on there, and we just been so busy. My wife handles all the emails and the PMs and the Facebook and the social media. And so I'm just busy trying to keep my pants on.
I told
might be the
him he'd probably have better luck messaging her.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's the one that does all that. I'm very rare on, ever go to Facebook. I just don't have the time. I crank out the videos and then I get back out into the gold fields.
Hopefully it sends you anything that he used to send us. Yeah, that's probably why
that might be why you don't answer them no more or even open them. But
yeah. Yeah, it was anyways. Hey, what we got here? Anything?
Here's your chance. Get on the horn or get on your computer, hit the link, come on up. A lot like StreamYard, guys. And ask Jeff your question.
You know as much about geology as the rest of us do. I'm sure you've got a question for Jeff. And I know you're not shy to come on here, so that we know.
Well, Matt's like, I wish I could call in, so I'm not sure it's a problem. It's nice to see how you're going with your mine, and I really like the Oatman stuff you do in that area. Aren't those the Black Mountains there around Oatman?
Yep, that's the Black Mountains, or what's known as the San Francisco district.
Well, I used to live in Riviera Bullhead.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah, that's not very
that
far
was
away.
right in my back door for the most part. And at that time, I was far from being into prospecting. And I was like, geez, why did I get into prospecting sooner?
Yeah, well, it's the perfect place out there on the outer fracturing of that caldera. There's just tons of gold out there.
We have our friend Brian Wilder, the American Gold. What the heck is his channel name? American Gold Prospectors. American Gold Prospectors. He's been a friend of ours here for a long time. And Brian knows the routine.
He's just slow.
Well, he might be putting on his pants too.
Oh yeah, right.
Get them pants on, boy. What's the matter with you?
How's that?
There he is.
What's going on?
Hey, what's up, stranger?
There he is.
Hey. Well, I just figured everyone wanted me to call in, so I call in. I do got a quick question. Jeff knows a lot about Nevada. How's the gold around like Lovelock, Wiccamucca area?
Giants
Winnemucca area. Yeah, oh yeah, the Redhead Giant Cave is up there too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
really?
the gold up there is pretty good. You do have nuggets up there. I've got friends that have found plenty up in that zone. I don't do a lot of mining up there because we have other spots that produce, in our opinion, more gold. So we're mostly we're down around the southern Nevada, up around the Sierras, and then up around Tahoe, all the way up to Rye Patch. Nice. That's more of our area right there, and we found most of our considerable amount of gold, mostly electrum in nature, in those areas there.
That's cool. Yeah, I was just out at a rye patch a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, how'd you do? Did you find some Chevron gold?
Chevron. No, I stayed at that campground there, the state campground by the dam.
Right.
Yeah, no, I metal detected a little bit, but I was there really just meeting up with James. He's starting up like a big mining operation, so I
Right.
just stayed there a couple days. So I got
Oh, that's cool.
met him and went to the mine site. But
Yeah.
I poked around near the I think it's called Huckerville or something, kind of near the truck stop. I don't know.
Okay. Did you find anything?
No, I metal detected my ass off. I didn't find anything.
Ah,
But they got there's a whole bunch of mines in there. I mean, I went through all the mines. I metal detected in the mines. I took a bunch of samples home, but I don't have a rock crusher, so
oh, well, you
I'm
can
so
always
eager
use a hammer and a rag. That's what we used to do too in the old days.
yeah. I'm looking up rock crushers now just because it's fascinating those mines. You know, all the tailings piles looks like really good. I didn't find any
Yeah.
visible gold, but they look really good. I took home buckets of rocks, but
There
No,
you
it's
go. Yeah,
impressive.
just get yourself a small impact mill and just slowly feed it all day long. Pan it out with some jet dry. You're good to go.
Yeah.
Kind of like the one you made back in
Yeah.
the day, or like the Cobra Crusher type
Yep, the
thing.
Cobra Crusher or the mining mill. You can use those too for sampling. They're not production rigs, but you can use them for sampling. And we like the pieces down. Makes it a lot easier.
Was that just kind of like make it smaller into
Yeah.
more
Yeah,
manageable?
you'll get we like to set it to about, I don't know, minus quarter. And that way it's easy just to feed into the impact mill, and it's not so hard for it to turn it into powder. Because you see guys throwing these big chunks in there, and it's just killing the inside of that flail mill. And you can do it, but your mill's only going to last for maybe a few days, and then those chains are going to be worn down to powder. So I tell people, if you can get that rock small before you put it in, it's not a competition. You're thinking about productivity. Get it down to a small workable size. Quarter minus is good, and then throw it in there, and it'll pulverize it in no time.
That's
so
cool. Yeah,
and rock crushers are perfect for that.
I'm not much in hard rock. I'm just kind of getting into it. It's really cool. I mostly just dredge, do like wet kind of stuff.
Right.
But
Yeah,
being
that's-
in those mines it's really fun because you never know what you're gonna find. It's like an adventure all its own. It's just
Exactly.
cool.
And there's so much gold that's been left behind because they were shutting the mines down because of Executive Order L208 because of World War II. A lot of them still have the gold in place. And
Yeah.
you can, and in some scenarios, I tell people, look for those high grade piles by the portal or by the collar of the shaft. That some of them never made it to the mill, and it's sitting there waiting for you to pick it up.
Piled up waiting.
Yeah, one of my good friends, Shannon Poe, he's the president of AMRA.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. He's a good guy. I like him.
Yeah. I was just over at his house about a month ago, and he was going to show me the Screamer mine, but we had cut down a whole bunch of trees that are in the way of the path, and we spent like 2 days just cutting tree after tree after tree. We never actually made it to the mine, but we got close. But he was going to take me up there and show me. But yeah, the same thing. He found just visible gold in the samplings right outside the portal. And he's doing really well with it. There's like really nice visible gold.
Oh, there's nothing better than seeing that gold locked up in the host rock.
Yeah. Shannon's cool. He's got they're just getting they got plans of operation to open it up with excavator just recently. So
That's fantastic.
Really cool.
Wow, they're going full production. I like that.
Well, they're gonna try.
Yeah, yeah, right.
California, who knows what's
Oh my God, don't get me started. Don't get
But I
me
guess
started.
hard rock's a lot easier to get permits for in California, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what? I don't know if they've geared the legislation that way so that it's easier for these larger Canadian companies to come in or not, and make it harder for the small scale miners who usually do placer. So I don't know if they're biased towards that.
A little of each.
Yeah.
Line your pockets from both sides.
Yeah. That sounds like a politician.
Yeah, that's what I see. So you're in Winnemucca right now, right?
No, I went back home. They actually are having a bunch of problems getting the equipment in. They got a few excavators in. We got the wash plant in. He had to leave, go to Arizona to pick up a whole bunch of steel and pick up a welder. But there's some stuff coming over from the UK. I guess it's on a barge, and there's problems getting it there. So it's going to be like a few more weeks. So I'm like, I'm gonna go back home and go dredge.
Wow.
We'll see.
But you're going back, right?
Get that gold
going
fix
back.
in.
Vernon just called me yesterday. He really wants me to get me back up in Nome. I got a call over actually at Whitewater to be maybe work for the film crew at Whitewater this summer. So still waiting to see about that.
Hey, dude, I thought you were retired. What happened? your play turned to work.
No, it's fun though. It's fun.
Well, Brian, we appreciate you calling in, our friend.
Great.
And if you're ever in our area, you know you're always welcome here.
Yeah, thanks. Later.
See you later.
later, brother.
Bye.
Brian Wilder, great guys. Had the pleasure of meeting him on the river, or actually it was a brook in Vermont, but
Right.
still a good time. I did actually
It's
really
really cool to
well on
watch.
that brook.
Yeah, it's really cool to watch somebody like Brian, because when we met him, he's been prospecting. He's been doing some videos, but after that he started traveling around and just meeting up with all kinds of people, and then he wound up on Vern's dredge for a couple, 2-3 seasons, I think. Now he's a cameraman for the film crews that's doing this stuff.
Wow.
I don't know if you
never
ever
know where it's gonna take you.
Right. I don't know if you've ever seen his videos that he does. First of all,
No, I don't think I have. I might have and not known it.
Yeah, he finds some really good gold, right? Dredging. Yeah, he's so they liked what he was doing, I guess. They obviously did. They hired him.
Wow.
The dude retired in his 30s, right?
Oh man.
Right. He retired. He got his money coming in, and he's just traveling around, and now he's back to work again.
Wow. Doing what he loves to do.
Yeah. Hey, I don't blame him. Yeah, I'm going to tell him about just outside of Austin, Nevada, which is a little bit south of Winnemucca. There,
Right.
there's a hot springs up there, out in the middle of the desert. It's an abandoned tungsten mine or shaft,
Right.
and
Must have
that's
been
a really
mining
cool.
scheelite.
What was that?
I said they must have been mining scheelite there.
Yeah, is that what the
Tungsten ore.
Yeah, that's what the ore is.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
that's so, but that was cool. Just it's an old abandoned place. It's out in the middle of the desert. It's got a nice hot tub in it.
Nice.
The miners built a cement tub and drove a pipe down into the hot springs, and had water pumping into it. Oh, that was nice.
Wow.
And-
Nice.
In a
Aaron
shed.
from
It's out in the middle. It was still functional. It was still usable. We had a
Right.
good time. But that was one of the things I like doing when I was in Nevada, is just exploring the desert.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's so much
I
to
can tell
see.
you, he needs to do that. It's so cool up there. Nevada's awesome.
Yes, it is. I love it.
Yep.
We
Yes.
have John from Nebo Gold Prospecting or Nebo Gold Adventures. He's the one from Pennsylvania who has the mine in Vane Mountain, North Carolina. He's coming up. And Aaron
Rookie
from,
gold prospector.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on Team RC1?
TRC1.
Team.
Keen RC1. Is it a
Oh,
rock
Keen.
crusher?
Keen.
Oh well,
You know who Keen is, right?
yeah. Well, yeah.
You've heard of that name, I'm sure.
I think I've heard of Keen somewhere. I can't put
Yeah.
my finger on it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, no, Keen makes some fantastic products. I love Keen. The small, I think he's talking about the small impact grinder. It's like a small mill that they make that sits on the 5-gallon bucket, and then they got the RC46, and which is a single roller, and they make a double roller that has the jaw crusher incorporated into it. All fantastic machines. I love them all. In fact, we're working on getting a RC46 from Keene as we speak to work some of the ore that we're pulling out of this mine.
Nice.
Cool.
That's nice. I like the trommel you made in your cleanup tent.
Oh yeah, we put that together years ago, just out of some spare square tubing that we had laying around and some mesh, and just whipped it together and got the bugs out, and it worked fine.
Well, with
So we're still using it. So
with your shop and your know-how, your handy know-how, I could see it very easily. John, we can't see you and your mic's muted. But yeah.
Wow. I'm looking at pictures.
I'm
looking at pictures
curious.
of
You're
Boston, Nevada
probably
right
too
now.
busy now to even have your mechanic shop open, huh? Or totally
we
left
leased that
someone in
out.
control.
No, we leased it out to somebody else. So we get a percentage from that, and I don't mess with it anymore.
Okay.
Cool.
Now, here's a question. I have two, since John, there he's coming, but before John gets in.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
Hear you
we
now.
hear you.
Here, I'll let
Good.
John do it, and I'll wait. What's up, John?
Oh, it's great to be here, guys. Jeff,
Oh,
Good.
welcome
talk to you,
aboard.
man.
Welcome aboard.
I got a hat just like that one. I should have wore it.
Yeah, fedora.
My favorite hat. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Anyway, the question I have for you is, I'm 71 years old. I'll be 72 in August. I just bought 16 acres of a gold property,
Right.
and I've been mining it for the past 3 years, placer mining it, and we've been getting on average about a half a gram per yard.
Okay.
Now, this past spring, we went in and we found an underground mine, and it has quartz veins in it, and it's a real. I'm on Vane Mountain, North Carolina, by the way.
Okay.
So it's very rich. There's all kind of mines all over the place. I'm only about a mile away from the Lost Dutchman's mine down there, and we're
Oh
finding
yeah.
all kinds of gold. But I'm thinking, my big question is, do you think I have enough life in me to finish mining this property?
But well, yeah, I think you got plenty of life left in you. Now, I'll give you an example real quick, and then maybe this will put everything in context for you. But you remember seeing my pops with me all the time when we were out mining, and he was 84, and he was just going up and down the hills. We're still going in mines and sampling all the time. He didn't slow down one bit. So for you to say, oh, I'm 71, I'm like, oh, well, heck, I remember when my dad was 71, he was outrunning me. So
I'm 73.
I think you got plenty of life left in you. I would definitely go for it, because, I mean, you know, what are you going to do if you don't go gold mining? You're going to sit around, and, you know, if you slow down, you're going to get old. But if you don't slow down, you never get old. So you just gotta move forward with this and live life every day like it's your last. And I guarantee your body, trust me, your body will be fine, unless you got underlying health issues I don't know about. I think you'll do well. And I guarantee when you start finding hard rock shiny, you'll get a 20 years knocked off instantly.
Oh yeah.
You'll get lead in your pencil like you never saw.
Well, I hope so.
I'm 73, and I think Two Toes is. Well, I'll be 73 in August, and I think Two Toes is even older than I am, and there's no way I can keep up with him. I mean,
oh no, that guy is the
40-year-olds that can't keep up with him.
Well,
So,
just
it's
hearing it from somebody that knows out there, it makes a difference, because I have doubts every day whether I want to sell it or keep going. I mean, because I'm at that point right now, I got to make a decision. Do I repurpose what I'm doing and start hard rock mining and give up the placer, or what
there's-
do I do?
I mean,
don't give it up.
there's a lot involved with that question, and I'm sure there's a lot of variables involved that I'm not aware of. So the first thing I'd say is, look, if there's enough reserves and the grade is good in the hard rock, and you have the financial stability to be able to invest in this and make it work, I say yes. But if you're in the middle of some type of decision where financially you have to either pull out or keep working, that's a whole different ball game. But if it just comes down to whether or not I've got it in me, if I got enough metal left in me, I say go for it personally, because the last thing that you're going to want is regret when you get to the end of your life and you think, I wonder what would have happened if I had just kept going. Would I had hit the big time? So you don't want to be sitting back in a rocking chair in your last days, with all that regret. So I always say go for it.
Yeah, just think if you'd swung that pick one more time.
Yeah. Well, I only got one more question for you then, Jeff.
All right.
You ever plan on coming to North Carolina? And if you do, you think you'd be in the Vane Mountain area and take a visit?
Oh yeah, because I plan on bringing my wife over to the Tom Reed mine over in the Carolinas.
Yeah,
and I want to show her all that. And so,
we're about 3 hours from the Tom Reed mine.
There you go. So, like I said, I plan on doing that, and not only that, but because of the historical significance of it. So, I really want to do a video of that, and I get so many requests saying, Jeff, when are you going to get out here to the East Coast, especially down here around the Carolinas and Georgia, the slate belts that run through here? And I said, you know what? That's a good question. I really need to get out there because we focus so much on the West Coast, and I know it's because that's where we live, but I really need to get out to the East Coast, and that way the people who are out there, they can have a taste of what they should be looking for as well. I've been in New York millions of times, but I really don't go down to your neck of the woods that much. So to answer your question, yes, we'll be going out there.
You said it was about the same as what was going on in California, and all the things I see on videos and the rock that they show, it's sure showing up the same way. It's got a lot of iron and mineralization. It's not real white quartz. It's all stained. It's mineralized.
And that's what you're looking for. And you got the slate belts, the carbon slate belts, black slate belts that run through there. And to generalize it, it's very similar to what you're getting out in the California slate belts. So
if you actually saw what I'm looking at out there, you'd be able to tell what I'm doing. I have no clue on how to essay this stuff. I've never hard rock mined before. So like I said, I'm just getting started in it.
Well, what you can do, just to give yourself, a little bit of a push, a little motivation, if you will, is if you can find some of the vein material that's just super mineralized. I mean, it's just screaming that it's got something in a lab and have it assay. Now, they have assay labs everywhere in the back of the ICMJ if you want to look for one back there. We've been going to one out in California called Reed Labs. I send it in just to see what's in there, and don't just get one spot, get it from several locations just to make sure that, you're giving the vein a fair chance, and have the assay report give you that motivation. Cause I have a feeling when you see that and you see the ounce per ton, 1 ounce, 2 ounce, maybe 3 ounce per ton, it's definitely going to, take a few years off you, and you're going to spring into life.
Now, I guess.
Yeah.
A jackhammer or something.
They're relatively cheap, and they make the SDS and they make the SDS Max. I like the Max. It's got a bigger chuck on it, bigger bit, and just go out there and grind out some of that stuff. And you only need, for most assay labs, you only need like maybe a pound and a half in a Ziploc bag. Put it in a if it fits, ship box, which is the the little tiny FedEx box, or not FedEx but USPS box, and ship it off to one of these labs and just have them take a look at it, just for fun. Because if it's what I think it is, you might be sitting on something very rich. And trust me, when you get the numbers back and they are what I think they are, the motivation's going to go through the roof.
Well, there's mines all over the area, so I know I'm in the right area.
Right.
They didn't call it Vane Mountain for nothing, right?
I know, right? So what kills me is I can't believe you're actually asking me what I should do. I'd be like, well, heck, I'm gonna.
You already had it done.
I'm gonna sample the heck out of it. find out what's in it. Me, I wouldn't be able to
That
wait.
was-
I'd have to run it through a jaw and then an impact mill and then pan it out myself. But I'd definitely
Well,
send
that's,
it for assay.
So I was gonna ask you about how much do you need, but you answered. You say about a pound or
Yeah, pound
uh,
and a half is what the labs usually ask for, so they can get
okay.
a significant quantity, so they can crush it and part it and do all the other things they do with it.
Right, right.
Now that
So,
that
and
sample,
as
should
far
that
as
be the amount of the material that I think is the best material, or a sample of the whole quartz vein
Now,
itself?
what I like to do is when I send samples in, just because I like, I like to get a taste of both sides of the coin. So what I'll do is I'll run a sample across the vein, just a general section of the vein that looks average. And then I'll go and I'll cherry pick those nice juicy pockets. And then what I'll do is I'll pull, if there's any fault gouge, I'll pull the fault gouge, or I'll pull on the outer edges of the vein. Then I'll send all 3 samples in. And of course, you label your bags when you go to send it in. Average ore, high grade, and wall rock. And then see what that comes back as. That way you get a better snapshot. Because if you just cherry pick, it's obvious your numbers are going to be higher.
I'll see
So
you guys
you want to
later.
get in. Up.
I was
Where'd you
going-
go?
I was gonna go get us something. I was gonna go. I'm so excited right now. I can't even talk.
So that's what I would do.
You motivated me, buddy.
So,
You
and that's
motivated
what we normally do is that's exactly what we did, and we just did that with one of our mines. We just got the assay report from Reed Laboratories. So we took it across the vein. So if the vein is about yay wide, I know veins vary, but just for representation, you go all the way across from hanging wall to foot wall, and it may be about, I don't know, a couple inches wide, and you put that in a bag. Then you look for those super high grade pockets that have all that beautiful red and black and brown in there. And you chip that out and you put that in a bag, mark it high grade. And then on the outside of the hanging wall and foot wall, because sometimes you can have mineral deposition there too. You're going to pull a little on each side, put that in and write hanging wall, foot wall on it, send it in the lab and see what comes back. So, and it all comes down to how much you can afford, because I try to tell people, try to get it from multiple locations. That way you get a better snapshot of what you're looking at.
so and just so you don't go flying off the handle or go out and buy an expensive hammer drill that you may not need. Maybe you might want to rent one for a day or two and see if it's going to be worth buying one.
Right. Or
I'm
if you
just-
have a harbor,
I'm just
freight
frugal
town,
that way.
if you got Harbor Freight, we go there, and I've been through 100 hammer drills so far, and you can get them. You get the Bauer or you get the Hercules. They're relatively cheap. You get the warranty that way because we blow ours out all the time. And so you go in there and you put down 80, 90 bucks. You got a hammer drill, get the warranty for another 10. You just keep getting the hammer mill over and over, or the hammer drill over and over again.
Right.
There you go.
So-
That's even better.
There you go,
I really
John.
appreciate the advice and the information. And Jeff, I'll get in touch with oh God.
What?
With Flash Ed.
Oh yeah, Ed, flash and pan.
Right. I'm nervous a little bit talking with you.
No, don't be nervous.
I'm okay.
So, and
I'll
just
get in
like I
touch
said,
with Ed and get some information to you. So when you come into this area, I'd like to see you get down
yeah,
my way.
and we would like to
Give me a
check it out.
call.
I'm real curious of what you tapped into.
Well, I'm sure it's good because every mine around that area is producing something.
All right, just be analytical with this. Make sure you write everything down, because the worst thing you could do is forget something. Numbers come back high and you forget where it came from.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah, I've been doing
it's
that.
like
with- I
having
haven't-
20 buckets of material and none of them are labeled.
Right. Now I've been doing those test piles and samples from my my mining operation. It's an open pit mine, and I'm digging up placer. I got an excavator and wash plant and all that kind of stuff. So I sample locations and I keep good track of what's going on there.
Good.
Oh,
It's just hard rock is just totally new to me, and I've been watching a lot of video. I watch you, but you're not doing hard rock. You're doing that drift mine stuff. and
Well, actually, we do hard rock. We have
I was gonna say.
4 hard rock mines in Nevada, and I try to video as much as I can about how to sample And I know sometimes the videos they're hard to find, or they have a funky title on them. But we've done, I don't know, maybe 8 videos on some of our hard rock mines here in Nevada. And I always try to stress that. In fact, we had Jason from Mount Baker Mining Metals come down, and I sent him down one of our mines, and he it's funny because I didn't think it was possible, but our mine gave him gold fever all over again. It did. He was freaking out because he couldn't believe the amount of gold that was coming out of those pockets.
Yeah, well, the last video I put out was an edit that we found on my property, and we explored it, and we found the vein in there, and I don't know why they gave up on it. Of course, I haven't sampled it yet, but you know,
Right.
Somebody was actually in there.
Now, you keep in mind, a lot of mines were shut down because of World War II. So that
Right.
could have been a reason. People think, oh, the mine played out. No, not necessarily. So just always keep that in mind that, hey, rich mines could still be rich because the war, they never opened it up because price of metals was cheaper overseas, and labor disputes and all these other things.
Well, that and the fact that they needed different metals too. So a lot of gold miners went to mining other stuff, coppers and other materials, because that's what was needed during the war.
Yeah, exactly. It was the Essential Metals Act, Executive Order
Right.
L208. And they said that, you know, if it wasn't essential, then you can't do it. It was illegal. So gold and silver mining was basically shut down until after the war. Well, after the war, a lot of the mines, it was too expensive to open them back up. So they just said, no, we're gonna leave them shut down because it's, you know, to get them rehab. The labor, of course, is more expensive. You could go overseas and get gold a lot cheaper than you could here in the States. And in some countries, you can still do that. Yeah, you got customs to deal with, but you can still do that.
Well, it also did the mines down in the southeast, North Carolina and those places, did they close down because of the new gold rush in California? They didn't close down because they ran out of gold. They just found what they heard was more gold.
Exactly. And they really publicized the gold rush of California. That's why it got so much attention around the world. And you're absolutely right. During 1849, 1850, if you were working anything over in the Carolinas, I guarantee you dropped your shovel and you hopped on the first wagon out west, because they oversold the whole gold rush thing, because they were saying that, you know, the nuggets were as big as your head and you could pick them up out of the stream with a rake. So you had a lot of people coming in from overseas who brought rakes with them, thinking they just raked the gold out of the rivers. It wasn't that way. They were in for a rude awakening when they got out there. So, and that was over publicized. That's why that one is the most well known, and also because the large volume of gold that is there, because California, the whole state of the Sierra, it has gold in it. The mother lode country.
Right.
It's
From
still loaded
from the top
with
to the
gold.
bottom.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you still have that same problem over here on the East Coast, because most people that you talk to don't even know that gold exists on the East Coast.
Yeah,
Very
they
few
don't
people
know their
do.
history. The
They
first
don't
gold
know.
rushes were there. They don't even know
Right.
that.
I appreciate you calling in, John. We have Matt, the prospecting geologist.
Take care, guys. I appreciate you
All
guys
right.
letting me on.
Thank you,
Later,
sir.
All right,
Talk
thanks
to
for
you
stopping
later,
by.
brother.
So yeah, I had a question for you earlier that was in my head, and so now, you know, when you started doing hard rock mining, I'm going to go back to hard rock a little bit. When you started doing that, you had to learn everything, didn't you? I mean, as far as how to, I know that you had general knowledge at it, but there was a lot of things you still had to learn to actually do what you were doing, right?
For
Is that
hard rock?
something? Yeah,
Well, there's a lot of it that I already knew,
right,
book-wise,
right,
having a degree in geology, but that's, you know, that's the thing I tell people is you can be the smartest person book-wise, get out in the field, and you can't find your tail. So,
Right.
and each deposit is different. You can't just say, well, I know epithermals, I know mesothermals, so I know them all. No, like I said earlier, Mother Nature has a way of changing the rules when she sees fit. And when we got to our mine, I noticed that there was a lead carbonate that was associated with the ores, but I wasn't 100% sure. So Richard B, that you saw in the comments section,
Right.
he got a hold of me and he said, Jeff, I used to work that mine. And I'm going to tell you some secrets about the ore and the deposition models that were going on and the mineral assemblages and what you should be looking for, because I used to do assays out there. And he says, I bet you were having problems finding silver and other elements in there when you were doing your cupulation. And you couldn't get a beautiful button to save your life. And it was all wrinkled. I said, yeah, what the hell's in the ore? He says, you got a lot of palladium in there and it's causing issues. We found that out when we started doing assays. He says, it's going to be hard to part that out. He says, so I don't know how you're going to do it. We just send it into the refinery the way it was after we cupelled it. And I said, oh, okay. So I was like, I was trying to figure that out. And I noticed that there's a lot of wolfenite that was associated with it too. He says, yeah. He says, when you go to smelt that, it's going to act as a collector metal. So you don't have to put any litharge in there with it. And I thought, well, that's convenient, because I remember we did our first assay. Even Jason from Mount Baker Metal, he went to run a bunch of ore, and when he popped out his first crucible, the whole thing at the bottom of the cone was lead. And he's like, what the hell is that? And then he realized, I told him, I says, you know, Richard told us there's a lot of wolfenite. You can see the crystal formations everywhere down there in all the little vugs. And he said, wherever you find that is where you're going to find high concentrations of gold, or with the hematite. And sure enough, he was right. And I says, you know, that's actually a win-win for us, because then I don't have to put, if, you know, I can just crush it all up, throw it in a crucible. I can put some Hank Chapman in there or some borax, whatever I want. And the wolfenite's going to act as a collector metal. And then all I have to do is cupel it after that, and I'm done. So I was like, well, that's fantastic. But I didn't know that. I was like, oh man, this is different down here. I do know that the area has lead carbonates associated with the ore, but the wolfenite, that one kind of threw me off a little bit.
Gotta save you some steps there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Matt, what's up? The prospect.
how you doing?
Matt,
Jeff, good to finally meet you.
I know, right? I love your work that you do with LiDAR. I thought that
Oh,
was
man,
that's-
fantastic. I always try to
Uh-huh.
refer over to your site
Thank you.
when people are trying to use LiDAR for that, because you did some really good videos on that. And when I saw that, I was like, oh man, I got to let people know that that's an easy way. And then I always put your links in there, because you know more about it than I do. And you have a system of actually creating the small little grids for any location. And you actually do, I think you still do that for people for a fee. And I thought, well, a lot of people like myself are lazy, and we don't want to do it. We don't want to learn all that crap. So I'm like, just go to him, pay him whatever, you know, his fee is, and he'll make you one based on the coordinates that you give him. How easy is that?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I've been doing that a bit and stuff, but I've started to refer people. There's actually now an app on your phone that literally has LiDAR built into it for free.
It's a great app too,
So I've
Matt.
started referring people to that. I'm probably going to stop producing it. I can produce a bit higher quality than what it has,
Right?
but it's good enough, and you can just scroll over mass areas, and I can't do that when I make my own.
Oh,
When I make my own, if I try and go too big of an area, it'll crash the entire computer.
oh God.
It's
Well, I'm going to
so-
have to learn that. I know I've got it on my iPhone,
Cal
my-
Topo.
and my missus is always trying to show me, but I'm like, I don't got time. I got to go dig a hole.
Yeah, Cal Topo is
Well,
fantastic.
Think how
Okay,
much
I'll have
time,
to check it out.
Jeff, think how much time you'd save if you learned that app and you wouldn't have to go dig that hole. You go find the hole.
I love
Well,
digging
we-
holes.
We always like to joke somewhat that, like, in some of your videos and stuff, you're like, oh yeah, look over there, you can see that dike and those trenches cut on it like a mile away. And we're like here on the East Coast looking like, yeah, I see
Trees.
everywhere.
And that's a good point, because I'm basically, I can see just about everything I need to, or I
Yeah.
can do drone shots to find out.
Yep.
And to me, it's like, well, I don't really have to learn that, so I'm just gonna keep doing that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys got all that, the trees and the foliage and all that overgrowth that you have to deal with.
So yeah, the
So-
trees and the foliage, and then it being mainly private property. So it lets you
Oh,
be
yeah,
much
that's
more
right.
selective. So you can
Right.
figure out like, oh, this property actually has workings on it, even though there's not a documented mine.
Right.
And then you can go and contact that owner specifically. Where you out west, a lot of times you can just like go walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most
Look
of
at
it's
it all.
BLM. And all
Yeah.
you got to do is check land status.
Yep.
And if it's open, hey, you can file a claim right then and there and go to town.
Yeah. So there's definitely some differences there with it. And that's why I think for East Coast stuff, it's a huge help. And then also parts of the West Coast, you get up in Oregon, Washington, parts
Exactly.
of California where you can't see anything
That's true.
on
That is true.
aerials and stuff. But like, yeah, Arizona, Nevada, you can,
Yeah.
it
I'm
helps.
spoiled.
It helps see it a little better, but a lot of times you can look and be like, yeah, I can see it all through there on the Google Earth aerial view.
Right.
Or if you're doing your drone stuff, you can do the video tomography mapping and stuff and make your own higher definition map with a drone and everything too. So,
Exactly.
yeah, but I'm self-taught on LiDAR. I took a few GIS courses during undergraduate and stuff, but I didn't really get into it then. Couldn't understand the professor who taught any of it.
And that's a good valid point. I'm glad you brought that up. I had a really good professor. We got along. He had a great sense of humor, and we joked a lot. And I think it all comes down to who is teaching you. If
Mhm.
you're going to retain it, if you find it interesting or not, or if you
Uh-huh.
just shut down and you're like, I really don't want to get involved with this.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm bringing that up is because I used to teach out in Vegas. I used to give classes every weekend, and I always try to put a little humor in there, little associations, word association, things to keep it moving.
Yeah.
I don't get all piled up with the words because everything ends in "ite" and people start to get confused. And so I'm like, don't get hung up on the words. The words don't really matter. You
Yeah.
just have to understand structures, and you have to understand the particular areas that you're going to be in and the type of deposition models that are associated with the areas that you're at. That's it.
Yep.
You don't have to go around and try to sound very smart and important because you know all these fancy words. That ain't going to find gold. Just learn the basics, and I guarantee you'll get an eye for it and you'll get a feel for it.
Yep.
So that's what I always try to teach. And my professor, he says, don't tell anybody I'm telling you this, because they'll probably bar me from teaching again. So
Yeah. And I got to get better and start doing more videos about the gold, the geology of the gold on the East Coast. But the thing that stops me every time is I can't do animations or anything to make it look good.
you can outsource that. You could go to like Fiverr or something like that and try to outsource it if you really wanted to.
Possibly, yeah.
Or like
We've
one of those
looked into doing that.
whiteboard programs that will draw you a cartoon.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I'm just gonna start drawing the various like subduction zones and how everything evolved on the East Coast for the first one on a whiteboard myself. and
I
then
think
I
that,
can bring in stuff.
to keep it simple. Yeah, just
Yeah.
have the whiteboard there. I've seen people do that and then just draw it out, or have it have maybe certain ones pre-drawn out. So you put it up so people aren't going, well, this take forever. Have them pre-drawn and you're like, okay, this is like this or this, and then just get involved with it, because
Mhm.
I think if you get bogged down with the technology, then you won't do it. You'll be like, no,
Yeah.
it's too complicated.
That's what keeps happening to me. And yeah, I need to. I want its evolution and the general idea of how the gold got in place, not going into specific deposits.
So why don't you do that? I mean, the next video
I'm working
do that.
on it. I'm working on it. It's one of the next couple of videos going to be coming up probably.
Okay, yeah, I look forward to see. I want to see that.
Yeah, there's probably going to be a bunch of wrong stuff because there's so many conflicting models on what they think how these various deposits form, but a lot seem to come back to submarine exhalative
right
as the primary model for the deposition, probably happening during either the breakup of Rodinia or sometime in between with some volcanics happening on the margins, probably over in Africa, and then it breaking off
back arcs
and coming and getting accreted to North America. So most of the gold on the southeast coast, from what I can tell, is not original to North America. It's probably
it's not.
over. Yeah, it's all North or African
Exactly.
in affinities.
And so what I usually like to do is, and we know this, that, you know, you're always going to have different models come out, different explanations come out, conflicting explanations. I always go with what I think happened.
Yeah.
And then I just let the cards fall where they may, because people are like, oh, well, you know, I just got done taking a this type of class and they said this, this, and this. That's great. And I'd like to learn that. But as far as I know, this is how it happened. And it looks the way this is from all the facts and details that I've gathered. This is what I think it is.
Yeah.
So just go with what model you think happened based off of just observation. And that's what I always do. And yeah, I have been corrected. And that's part of this whole process. Like I said earlier on this show, is you can't know it all. None of us know it all. I don't know anybody who knows it all. I mean,
no, not at all.
And we're constantly learning as the processes evolve. So you have to, you know, you have to bite the bullet sometimes and say, yeah, I was wrong, but I would like to learn this, what you know about this, and then we can learn together.
Yeah. And some of the issue is there's very little to no good research that's been done on the deposits in Virginia. So I usually have to relate those to North Carolina has a ton of good papers on a bunch of their deposits. So I usually have to kind of relate them to that, since the Chopawamsik formation in Virginia, they believe kind of co-evolved with the Carolina slate belt and stuff.
Right.
During the Taconic, Avalonian, Caledonian, orogeny, whichever one in part of the country you want to talk about.
And I guarantee you're gonna get some college professors out there that they're gonna be like, oh, I'm telling you right now, that's incorrect, and they're gonna give you a long comment about why it's incorrect. I get those all the time, and I'm like, hey, I'm totally open. If you got a better explanation, I'm totally open to hear it. But if it don't fit, then I'm gonna just, I'm gonna exclude it.
For East Coast stuff, you'd really need what's his name, Hibbard or Hubbard,
exactly.
out of Knoxville, Tennessee. He is like as far as like East Coast evolution of the tectonics and stuff, he seems to be the main guy out there mapping papers, all that for the past 30, 40 years or more. But
that's fantastic. So I want to see that on the next video that you put out, is a whiteboard explanation.
Next one's going to be LiDAR. And then we have a couple, we'll be doing a Memorial Day week trip here. And there's a couple leading up to that where I've been directing my friend who lives in Virginia currently still to do the sampling.
Right.
How to go about that. So we'll be dredging there, and then it'll be following up on that probably.
Nice.
So yeah, I've been trying to get better with actually putting out videos on a regular basis instead
of hard. I know,
going months at a time without doing anything. If I would have kept with it, I'd have a much larger channel than what I do now. I'd go half a year sometimes without putting out a video.
Oh yeah, YouTube
that killed me in the algorithm.
Yeah.
But no.
Well, yeah, just stick with it. I know that you'll do good. I've seen your work. It's fantastic. That's why I always try to refer you.
Thank you.
Yeah, he does. I've seen it a lot on his videos, Matt. Bringing up you and LiDAR. So
yeah,
I appreciate it. I've seen some of them too. I definitely appreciate that.
Oh, of course. And I always try to watch every YouTuber that does anything about gold. I'm constantly scouring YouTube to see if there's any new information out there that I might not be aware of, because like I said, you can't know it all. And maybe somebody's got a different approach to all this that might just be that one piece of information I was looking for to connect certain, theories together that makes it all work.
Yeah. And I know I definitely have some contrarian theories to what most people think's going on with gold on the East Coast, but I don't know. You might be able
put
to
it out there. I would love to hear it.
So the general thought is, like, everybody always likes to say, oh, it's flooding, gold's moving and all that type of stuff. And even in California, from what I read, it seems like it takes 100-year flood event to really get gold moving, even in California.
Right.
And the East Coast, if you take a look at the drops of our rivers, if you take a look at the river profile of like East Coast rivers in Virginia, Carolinas, Georgia versus like West Coast, the East Coast rivers will be like this nice long gradient going up like this. And the West Coast rivers go like
Oh yeah.
straight up. And from what I can tell, I just don't think the southeast Piedmont area in particular, which is the main gold belt, I don't think it has the fall nor the general water to push gold, at least not in recent times. I think it was probably the last ice age when the climate was different.
Right. A
Might have
lot
been
of
less
ice age flooding.
vegetation locking it all down. And I think probably then, plus the other giveaway for me is that the only profitable placer mining that generally was done throughout the Southeast never took place further than about a mile and a half from the vein source. So that to me, that kind of tells me that
I was gonna say
in
that's
a million years, the gold's moved a mile and a half from the source.
Giveaway.
Now we did have it was a peneplain at one time. So now what happened before the peneplain? Who knows? It's all gone. It's out off in the Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
But there has also been a rejuvenation. The Blue Ridge Mountains in and of themselves shouldn't be as tall as they are for how old they are. So at some point in there, they've been uplifted again. Now, whether it be from the ice receding and that just the isostatic rebound, even though the ice never made it down to the southeast, it still probably pushed most of the North American continent down, I would think.
Right.
So now if there was a rebound and a reactivation of those reverse thrust fault or the thrust faults,
yep,
and they rose back up, and then maybe
that's what I was gonna say.
So there's a bunch of stuff like that, but and also inside bend, outside bend, I've found that at least in Virginia, it's meaningless. Like I can go dig a surface of an inside bend and I'll find flour gold. It all seems to be on bedrock.
Right.
Exclusively. And the channels are fairly wide to me for the creeks that they're in a lot of times. And I think at some point in the past 10,000 years ago or further, they were probably braided streams with a higher sediment input.
Okay.
To make them braided. And gold was probably more moving at that point when material wasn't locked all down by vegetation and greenery everywhere.
Yeah.
Because we also have, I've done drilling. I've logged drilling in Charlottesville and other places throughout Virginia. And there's places where we hit over 100 foot of saprolite, decomposed bedrock.
Yeah, decomposing bedrock.
Intermediate geologic material, whatever the drillers or state agency wants to call it, where we've hit over 100 feet of it. And in general, it's at least 30 feet of soft bedrock.
That's a lot.
Which tells you chemical erosion has outpaced physical erosion by a great amount for a long time. And one of the bigger rivers in the area, the James River, there are bench deposits up above, like the really, really old ones up on tops of the hills, and those are dated to about 1 million years old.
Right.
And in that time, I guess it's cut down, I can't remember the exact numbers, maybe 200 feet into its gorge, and they cut straight perpendicular across the strike of bedrock, all due to the antecedent stream where it was a peneplain on soft material, and they cut in and hit bedrock and couldn't move. But yeah, so I kind of have most people still in the Southeast like to think or believe that, the gold is moving even maybe with more frequently, but I don't think it's moving much at all.
No, I'd say no.
I don't know. It seems like the prospecting methods of California get ingrained for everywhere almost.
Well, it's because it's more popular. That's why.
It is. Yeah.
And so when people see that, they think, oh, well, this is a general approach to any location. And no, it's not. It's whether it's placer or hard rock, you have to know the area.
Hard rock's still something I haven't delved into as much. I have done some work for a Canadian exploration company in Virginia, but I was more so doing pan sampling in the streams around the vein course to try and locate other potential pop-ups of a vein.
Right.
As far as hard rock goes, I haven't delved into much, and I've crushed quartz and I've found nothing. I don't know how many pieces of quartz I've crushed that literally are coming from mine sites, and I've found nothing. Looks great. all that type of stuff. And a lot of people, when they say, oh, gold comes from quartz and stuff, there's quartz everywhere. I'm like,
No.
For every gold bearing quartz vein there is probably in Virginia or the Southeast, there's probably millions of barren ones that have.
Oh yeah. And that's a very popular myth that, find a quartz vein, there'll be gold in it. No. Or you can only find quartz and gold together. And that's a myth too that I've dispelled many a time. I've found plenty of deposits that had not a speck of quartz in them. And there was plenty of gold forming in them. Replacement deposits, supergene deposits, they have no quartz whatsoever, but they have masses of gold in them that are some of the richest that I've ever seen. And I've documented and filmed them too.
That's cool. Yeah, most of the stuff, at least in the Southeast, that I've ever read about is associated with quartz. I haven't really read of any that aren't.
Right.
But yeah, getting into the hard rock stuff would be interesting, but it's been discouraging. And I can't, you can sometimes do a vein trace if it's a more prominent vein.
Right.
But otherwise it's buried under at least 2 foot of topsoil. So if it's not a prominent vein, you're not really tracing it for anything.
Right. Well, if I was to say anything as far as words of advice for you to get into hard rock wood, I'd be likely to tell you to start with the older mines and explore those and see the vein structures that they're chasing to get a better understanding, because they've done a lot of work for you already. And all you have to do is simply understand what they were chasing and why, and it's already exposed for you to see, and that'll give you a foundation to play with.
And that's been a problem with my main property where I get some of my best gold from, is that there were hard rock workings there. They're all collapsed.
Oh no.
None of them are open. None of the literature on it says anything about even the strike and dip of the vein, which just kills me. Because
that's the basic info.
So you'll there's an adit going into the hillside, more or less against the strike of the bedrock, perpendicular to strike. And then you have a bunch of, I think, collapsed parts, and then there's a shaft on top of the hill.
Yeah, they're doing a crosscut.
But I can't tell if they were were they chasing an actual vein that was perpendicular to the strike of the bedrock, which would be odd for Virginia. But there's also an adit on the other hill that almost lines up.
Well, a lot of times what they'll do is what's called a crosscut. It's so much easier for extraction. So if you've got a vein that has a northwest strike to it, then what you do is a crosscut from a perpendicular approach to it. And you would cut into the vein that way.
Yeah.
And then you would do overhand stoping to remove it. And it's a whole different, animal, but I know that once you get into it, you're going to love it, and you'll probably switch over to hard rock. Because when you start seeing the gold in its natural matrix, its host rock, you're going to be like, oh, this is what it's about.
Yeah, I have. So this came from Placer. I don't know if you can see it.
Nice.
Get closer to the screen. Get it closer. There you go. Oh, nice.
Hang on. I'm a little dark here, it seems like.
Oh yeah, there it is. I see it. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So that came from one of our main spots. I mean, it's on the source.
Right.
Yet any quartz vein we've ripped up there dredging has not produced any gold. And it's like there's stringers all over the place. So it's probably, I'm thinking it's a vein swarm or so, a ton of small veins, and only a very particular selective few are actually producing that gold.
You can, or you could have parallel veins, which is very common. But we've seen that the smaller veins are the more richer veins than the larger veins.
Yes.
And the reason that is because the smaller veins, the fluids are traveling at a lower pressure, and they have a tendency to have the gold drop out of solution when it's calmer. The larger veins have higher pressure. They're moving a lot more material, and the gold, which is an ionic form, doesn't have time to drop out. It's moving along too fast.
Yeah. And so this spot has produced almost up to a half-ounce nugget in the creek. And I've detected the hillsides hard in what should be most of the veins in the southeast strike northeast, southwest.
Right.
And in a northeast southwest direction, right around that whole area for 100 yards, I've detected the hillsides, and the bedrock's not more than a foot or 2 foot below topsoil.
Right.
So like anything big should be detectable, and I've found nothing anywhere. It's baffling to me that there's that big of gold in the creek bottom, but nothing up on the steep valley walls or hilltops around it.
So chances are it didn't come from that one then. It came from something maybe a little further up, a side tributary perhaps, that's cutting across another vein.
Maybe. I've looked at some of those and haven't found anything either.
Maybe the vein's in the creek.
Huh?
Maybe the vein is in the creek.
The vein definitely cuts perpendicular across the stream valley there. I'm pretty sure of that. I do wonder, so this is it's a old sedimentary basin sitting on top of an unconformity. And part of me wonders if there's a relation, and some of it's said that possibly the gold in this deposit is a paleoplacer. We're talking a Devonian paleoplacer or something. So really, really old.
Right.
And I wonder if there's a vertical depth component to it where, so it was a paleoplacer in the Devonian, but now we have the Appalachian orogeny and multiple others. I wonder if there was a remobilization of a paleoplacer deposit, but that in the current stuff, there's as you get higher in the formation vertically, that there's a depth component, that the gold bearing parts of the veins or the gold veins themselves haven't made it higher.
So how are you going to sample it?
I don't know. Part of me wants to start. I've been looking into it, doing just geochemical, taking stream grab samples, panning them to a certain amount, getting like, I forget what they
concentrates.
Yeah, and then sending them off for gold analysis as well as with other elements, and see if we know where we think where that's coming from, then you sample the tributaries, sample the downstream, upstream, sample around the mine. Maybe a trend will start to paint itself with certain minerals associating or actually being able to see gold percentages in it.
Did you start to see any trends?
I need to do that.
Oh, okay. That can be costly because that's
it's about $40. It's $40 a sample, I think, going through. I forget the company, the Canadian company I was working for was using is who I was probably going to use.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like about $40 a sample.
Hey, you could be looking at like, I don't know, 20, 30 samples easy.
Oh yeah. I think I have mapped out and planned for at least 40 samples or more. It's going to take time is what it's going to take. And
that's something people don't realize is that just like mining companies, sampling programs can take up to a year, sometimes 2 years.
Yeah.
Easy. You've got to know what's in the ground before you start digging.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, so I want to start on that. But right now, I lived in Virginia for about 8 years, right there near this whole area.
Right.
Like within 30 minutes, basically. And now I'm up in Pennsylvania, but we plan to move back to Virginia in about 2 or 3 years. So I'll be able to.
Oh, you could always do videos on anthracite.
Nah, I'm not that interested in coal. Coal and brachiopods. Yeah. I do need to find a trilobite. I don't have a good
trilobite. I love those things. We have them out here. Trilobite fields.
Yeah.
Animites and trilobites.
Yeah, I don't have a good trilobite fossil. I need to find one of those. Other than that, we have a little bit of glacial about an hour from me, right in Ohio, and then running up in the northwestern corner of Pennsylvania. But Pennsylvania doesn't allow any motorized equipment for prospecting. Ohio does, but I don't know. The glacial gold, it's fun, and I'll go do it every once in a while. It doesn't hold my interest as well.
Well, because it's very fine and it's not enough, the bottom line.
And it's too hard to catch.
Well, it's because Indiana has almost as good a gold as Virginia from what I've seen. The guys dredging in Indiana a lot of times will pull almost what we pull in a day in Virginia. But there's just something about like I could come across the source. And it's all related right there, which makes it really interesting. and the
Yep.
mining history and everything else with it. Whereas like glacial, it's like, yeah, this is from Canada.
Exactly. It's
Somewhere.
been
I don't
pushed
know.
down. Not a lot of excitement. Yeah, lode gold, man, there is something about finding the source because you don't know how extensive it is. And it could be the deal breaker right there. It could make or break you, and you might stumble on something that most people have overlooked. I know personal stories of people who found deposits overlooked only a foot down and just 10, 15 ounce per ton on the grade.
Well, the company I was working for in Virginia, the lode deposit they came on was an undiscovered one. Undiscovered. It's a bit outside of the normal gold belt, and it's a quartz vein dipping near perpendicular, running northwest southeast.
Right.
It crops out at the surface in massive white quartz vein. How was it not found in mine back in the day? It's marked on a stagecoach map from like the 1870s.
So my question is maybe they sampled it and all the values on the surface have leached. Maybe they drilled it and found out that below there was values.
There's visible gold in the quartz at the surface.
Wow. I don't know what to say then.
And there's no, so they may have sampled it. It's hard to tell if they would have taken chip samples, but there's no evidence of prospect pits, trenching, nothing anywhere. And
That
some
don't
of
make any
one of the
sense.
grab samples, I think, assayed at like 700 grams a ton.
Wow.
So there's some good ore shoots on it. The average stuff is about 20 to 30 grams a ton.
Right.
But there's obviously some higher grade ore shoots going
Yeah,
on.
ounce per ton. That's not bad.
Yeah.
The other ones, woo.
Especially cropping out at the surface in like a 3 foot wide, 100-meter long vein that sticks right out.
Right.
But it was interesting being able to go in there and see that, and then also be able to pan all the feeder creeks around and see like what virgin material basically is looking like, and it's like 100 colors in a pan for that stuff.
Wow.
But its deposit seems different than the rest in the normal gold belt as well, because it's striking perpendicular to the strike of bedrock,
Right.
which is odd. I've never
Yeah.
read of one in Virginia, at least, striking perpendicular to the strike of the bedrock.
Wow.
I
can see that getting you excited.
It runs in the same direction as the Triassic dikes. It's in
Okay,
the
so there's
same
got to be
north-
association then.
but the dikes are barren. And
But you can have multiple episodes of dikes.
it's all
So that's-
related. The Triassic dikes from the breakup of Pangea, basically, when all that started to happen.
Oh, yeah, the supercontinent.
Yeah, they're still they still believe the deposit's much older than all that. I always kind of wanted to relate it to the dikes as well, but they seem to more so think it was just the dikes were exploiting the same fracture weakness that the vein
Right.
did, maybe. But yeah, it's hard to say. There's no scientific work that's really been done on this deposit either. So
Well, you got your work cut out for you, don't you?
they're not interested in the scientific side of it that much. They're still, now they're dealing with the legal battle of
always the legal battle.
the environmentalists wanting to come in and shut it all down and don't want any gold mining ever happening in the state again.
The environmentalists, they're always there.
Yeah.
Well, everybody kept painting a picture that they're going to come in and open a 10,000 acre open pit mine,
Of course.
and ruin everything. And like, nobody's listening to like, it's going to be probably pit, shaft and tunnel mine. It's not big enough. There's not much gold in like the surrounding material,
Right.
to warrant an open pit. And then it's all free gold. There's almost no sulfides associated with it. A little galena and a little bit of sulfides, but it's all basically free gold. At least down as far as they've drilled so far.
How far have they drilled? Do you know?
I think their deepest intercept might be about 100 meters. I think they have at depth though to go.
Yeah.
So it's still open. It's still open on trend to the southeast, I think, and it's still open down dip. But
So
drilling,
so your average grade is what? Across
I think it was running 20 to 30 grams a ton.
close to an ounce a ton.
Yeah.
I hate to break up your guys' conversation,
Yeah.
but you're losing our crowd. You're losing our crowd.
Okay, sorry, we're growing.
I'm sorry. But I was gonna say
We are like 20 minutes, 22 minutes into overtime.
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
And I promise-
we gotta call it too, because
Yep.
I have
getting
one more question for you, Jeff.
Okay.
They've been begging for this question.
Uh-oh, here it
Even
comes.
though it's been
Oh, they
asked
want
you
that
before.
cowboy coffee, right? Cowboy
No,
style.
It's we've kind of changed the question up a little bit. It's always been a hypothetical. It still is. You're allowed
Okay.
to go anywhere, do any kind of prospecting you want. No, money's not an issue. Laws aren't an issue. Where would you want to go, and what would you want to mine for? But I've added a twist to it. Once you found your treasure, once you found that treasure you've been wanting to find all this time, because now you have the ability to, what's your fantasy to do with it?
Okay, well, that's like a multi-question question.
Yes, it is. I've added to it.
All right, so to answer the first question, if there was no laws and I could go anywhere I wanted and mine where I wanted, I've always, and I still hold true to this, is I've always wanted to do some serious gold mining in Australia. They've got
Oh, heck yeah.
some of the biggest gold still to this day.
Right.
Still reefs of gold that are being located. Just recently, they found a huge reef of gold. I know some prospectors personally that have shown me their private honey holes that are producing, I used to think 10 ounce a ton was, something special. They're pulling out 50 ounce per ton, no problem, easy.
Right.
And the gold is 98% pure. So
That's pretty.
it's the purest in the world. So to answer your question, Australia. I love that place. It's got the best gold ever, and I always hold true to that. And what would I do if I found the
What's your
ultra mother
fantasy?
lode?
Yeah.
I would, I always say this in all my videos when I get asked this question, or when I think of it, is it's never about having the gold. It's always about finding the gold. So for
Right.
me, I'd just give it to my wife and I would keep mining. So that, that it sounds crazy, but I'm a diehard miner, and I love this hunt. I love looking for it, trying to figure out Mother Nature's clues, and then finally the reward of finding it. Then I give it to her and I move on, and I
Well,
go
then
do it
what's
again.
her fantasy then?
Her fantasy is for me to take a bath and take her out to dinner. Maybe brush my teeth once in a while.
One last statement from Willie Shiny Gold out of the Southwest.
Oh, I know Willie Man. Willie
Yes.
Man.
Flash, before you cut the feed, thank you for having Jeff. Of course, he's third time he's been on with us, Willie. Always a great time.
Oh, thank you so much. And good job, Willie. I watch your videos all the time. I really like what you're doing out there. You're really finding some of that really nice specimen gold. So keep at it, and keep sending me the videos and I'll watch them.
Yeah,
So-
I guessed the weight on one earlier. I think it was your video, Willie.
Yeah, Willie Man guessed it when we're giving away the gold that we're getting out of the mine.
And yes, further on that, tell Jeff, thank you for coming. Tell him I dug up a mother lode with the scoop he gave me while out on his tour. He needs another one.
Okay. Yeah, we got plenty of them. We get them from Docs Detect, and they're fantastic scoops. I love those scoops. So yeah, he did really good. So, but we're going to call it. I want to thank everybody for having me out. I really appreciate it, each and every one of you. And if you ever get a chance, check out the videos. And of course, we have a Patreon site. We give away all the gold that we mine out.
And
So
speaking about that, I'm curious. We've talked about why I'm not your patron anymore. I love your stuff. I'll always support you no matter how big you get, Jeff.
I'm only 5'5".
I'm
What are you talking about?
curious. I'm curious. Have you
I
ever
think you're
used
stretching
the
that.
towel we sent you? the Flash in Your Pan towel we sent you. And do you still have my channel sticker on your big
Yes, I
thing?
do. I remember you sent me all that stuff, and we still have it on the big drum. You know, matter of fact, I tell you what, send us some more stickers, and I'll put them down inside the drift mine on the timbers. How's that?
Oh, there you go. That'd be awesome.
Same address?
Yeah, same address. I'll put them on the ore cars too.
Yeah, but I remember sending you a Flash in Your Pan towel too. Now, have you ever used
Yeah,
it?
we got the towel. We got the towel. I know it's somewhere around here. And we got the stickers. I put most of them on the drum. We don't use the drum obviously anymore. But I can definitely use some more stickers. I like your stickers. I think they look pretty cool.
Thank you, Jeff. That means a lot. I'll get some out to you, brother.
Yes, please do. And I'll put them on the ore car. How's that? Just for you.
You're the man. Do me a favor so Dennis don't get all panty twisted with me. Get a hold of that guy, would you?
I will. I'll tell the missus to remind me to get a hold of him.
I know you're super, super busy though, Jeff, and I appreciate you answering my emails, coming to me, joining us tonight.
Absolutely.
I appreciate all the callers. Matt, thank you. It's great having you join us.
Yep, thanks for having me on.
I want to get you on again in the future too.
Have your own night.
Yeah, it's been a while.
All of you, thanks for joining us tonight.
No, thanks, Ed.
You're more than welcome, Jeff. Thank you very much.
right.
Next week we're having Prospector Tuck on. He has a huge following on TikTok, not so much on YouTube. And then we'll be going into the next month. But until then, may you always have a flash in your pan.
Yeah,
You
so
always
come
do this, right,
on.
Jack?
Let's go. Yeah.
But-
I'll see you guys later. Take care.
And Jeff,
Be safe
I
out
hope
there.
one day to meet you in the wash
Yeah,
or
on the
shaft
gold
or
bills.
something. Somewhere where there's gold related, my friend.
Yeah.
Say
Not-
hi
not
to
the
your
honey pot.
beautiful wife for
No,
us.
not there.
I'll tell my beautiful wife you said hi.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us again,
You
Jeff.
bet. You guys take care, and I'll
Thank
see you on the next
too.
one.
Everybody,
Good night, everybody.
have a great
right.
one. We're out of
Okay.
here.
Out of here.
Another story told, another tale in gold. From the creek beds deep to the mountain cold. We rolled the tape, turned back the hands, relived the dreams through worn out hands. Faces familiar, voices strong, flashing back to where we all belong. So until we strike the stream again, with pick and pan and grinning friends, we'll keep the fire burning bright, Tuesday nights and golden light. YouTube's glow, that warm replay. Legends live another day. Flash in your pan, it never fades. Echoes of gold in the past we made. The guess, the laughs, the claims stay truths. The hunt for gold, the wild old roots. Time may pass, but this we know, history's got that golden glow. So raise a glass to memories dredged up from their flashback streams. We'll be back, just wait and see, on Tuesday Night Hangout, live history.